Hi. See, I'm not yelling. I'm not being like, whoa, ho, ho, ho. I can do it. I can do it. I know what you're thinking. Marsh, what the hell are you doing in Ice Crown? Oh, hang on. No, wrong song. Run away. Worst song ever. Fine, whatever. So, hello everyone, first of all. Oh, God. Second of all, I've noticed this trend over here. Over here. I can't twist my thumb enough. Over here. In the shame suit. And the Skittles suit appears to be basically winning that hands down. I was like, you know what? Well, now that we're 85 on those characters, why don't we mix it up a little bit? So, a couple more options for the so-called normal suit that I offer for your consideration.
Greetings.
First of all, we have the ability to be wandering around in basically this suit right here. We could also do it without the helmet, which actually looks better in my opinion. As you can see, there's it from the back. Don't worry, I got a cloak that would match, so that's not a huge issue. And I have a weapon that would match this as well. So, you know, just food for thought. I'd change the boots around as well, too, obviously. So, there. Something like this, kind of, maybe. Just something to think about.
Till next we meet.
But, believe it or not, there's actually another option. I know. You just have to give me a minute to get over there. Hey, Cool Ninja. PvP gear is the third option, actually. Hey, Hylisk. You're welcome, Zuan? I'm not sure why. I mean, crap. Hey, Grey Wolf. I like how you have this seething hatred of the Forsaken, yet you're totally okay with what the Alliance did to the Goblins and to Thrall. Or tried to do, I should say. Hey, Art Tyler. Well, it's funny you say that, Psychotic. You can probably guess where I'm going. Since, you know, badges of justice and badges of valor don't actually exist anymore. So, pretty much all that old stuff that used to cost that, no, you just kill them, Zoan. And try to destroy the world as well. But yeah, this stuff doesn't cost badges anymore because badges don't exist anymore. So instead they cost gold, and we've got tons of gold. To explain yet again, sigh, we're offering a couple of additional transmog options that we didn't have before because we were too low level.
What can I do for you?
So we also have the ability to have this suit, that is correct, Psychotic. This suit isn't my thing, but, you know, I'm offering it as an option. I will admit it's one of the very few helmets that actually looks good on a Worgen, in my opinion. And the spikes are nice, and the skulls are nice. Yeah, there's that. There's a couple of the color variants on this suit as well. In fact, I think there's like 4 color variants on this suit. So that's an option.
Have a good one.
Speak quickly.
And, of course...
Speak your peace.
We also have... this suit as an option. the Scourge Lord outfit. And if you really feel like it, there's the helmet, even though I think this helmet looks redunculous in general, but especially on a Worgen. However, this is the other option we have. So we've technically got like 6 new options, 6 total options amongst 3 different styles of gear for our other transmog, if you guys felt like it. Just thought I'd toss the idea at you, since I was, well, you know, thinking about it.
There's work to be done.
Either way, why don't we go make a Tauren? I hear Tauren are the best. Seriously, Tauren are freaking awesome. Unless they're named Magatha. Freaking Magatha. So, without further ado,
great tragedy has rocked the Tauren tribes and shaken their once stalwart devotion to the Horde. A disagreement between the new Orc war chief Garrosh Hellscream and the beloved Tauren chieftain Cairn Bloodhoof led to a duel that ended in Cairn's death. With his loss, the vile matriarch Magatha Grimtotem launched a murderous attack, attempting to seize control of Thunder Bluff for herself. However, Cairn's brave son, Bane Bloodhoof, successfully repelled the attack and banished the surviving Grimtotem to the farthest reaches of the land. Under Bane's hopeful leadership, the Tauren people now seek to heal their wounds and restore the balance between the various factions of the Horde. To this end, a new generation of Tauren Sunwalkers has arisen to lead their people into the light of a new dawn and the promise of rebirth. As a proud tribesman of Mulgore, you must uphold the honor of your people and safeguard the lands of your ancestors.
there we go. Okay. So, here we are, the Forsaken Tauren. The Tauren in general. Now, I actually have a few things to talk about when it comes to the Tauren. But first, we'll just go ahead and pick up the quest.
Greetings.
What you see here is the work of the Quillboar, young one. Year after year they have encroached on our village. The great cataclysm finally drove them from their dens to spread like locusts on the land. And now you see the result. My own mother, dead from her savagery. Today you are of age. Today you will take up your weapon and fight for the tribe and avenge the Great Mother. Follow the path to the east and find my son. He will lead you in our strike against the Quillboar.
Be careful.
I do find it fascinating that, I actually agree, the Tauren in general are probably one of the closest things to a good race. But I find that hilarious since the Tauren also have the frickin' Grim Totem and Magatha. I mean, every race is going to have their outliers, duh. But Magatha is just such a messed up kind of evil. If I could parallel Magatha to another character which you might be aware of if you've watched Deep Space Nine, Magatha reminds me a lot of Kai Wynn. She's out for herself, and everything else doesn't matter. She's also pretty short-sighted, all things considered. She makes clumsy, awkward grabs at power that only work because everyone else around her is so naive that they don't really care. Now I know what you're thinking. Arsh, you're totally exaggerating. Magatha was gifted with the powers of a shaman very, very early. She's actually a quite gifted shaman. I would argue that by the modern era, she technically qualifies as a dark shaman. And I kind of mentioned how screwed up that is earlier. But regardless of that, one of the first things she did was she married into a wonderful, amazing Tauran gentleman who was leader of the Grim Totem tribe. But, oh, he had an unfortunate accident. Oh, what a shame. Ah, damn. Well, I guess with him dead, she'll just have to take over the Grim Totem tribe. That's like the first thing in her biography. Became a shaman, killed her husband for power. That's like bullet point number 2 in Magatha's history. Really, I think that describes Magatha so beautifully. Just right there.
Greetings.
Welcome to your first true test as a Tauran.
Farewell.
Behold, Planeswalker. The very presence of Bristle Black is a blight. Nothing is left in their wake but corpses and barren land. Cap Narache could become what we see here in but a few days unless we stand and fight. This will be your rite of strength, the first ceremony of a Tauran brave. Go to the heart of the Thornsnarl and kill the Bristleback Quillbore, and then return to me.
Goodbye.
Really, Leander? Really? So I'll just go and tell you something right now. We don't actually know what's up with Magatha as of now. She had an update to her story in Kata. If you're paying attention, Kata was 2 or 3 expansions ago, depending on how you're counting that. By the end of the year, it will absolutely be 3 expansions ago, and still no updates. She has not been spotted in Legion that I'm aware of, by the way. So, oh, right, Shaman. Live by the earth, mother. Die by the earth, mother. Tauren in general are weird to talk about. Hang on just a second. Give me just a moment. I don't remember most of the names of their particular customs, so forgive me. Well, that's psychotic. It's not a habit or anything. The Tauren have a very well, see, the Tauren are a weird situation because they're not like the trolls. They're not exceptionally advanced and knowledgeable and understanding of the way everything works. However, the Tauren were actually one of the first races, along with the trolls. In fact, the only 3 races we have confirmed, at least until that book comes out in like 2 weeks here, that were the first races on the world are Trolls, Tauren, and Pandaren. Now, again, we're not 100% sure of that because the info is a little bit vague, and again, maybe it'll be updated soon. But yeah, the Tauren are one of the original races on the planet, and yet they're actually very unadvanced technologically. I shouldn't say very, but they are unadvanced technologically, especially compared to other races. Despite that, however, they have a tremendous amount of strength in general, which actually brings me to an interesting thing to talk about. Yeah, I agree, actually, Hylas. So, to explain it in such terms, natural selection, for those of you who have never actually studied this, is all about how, basically by pure chance of circumstances, certain random mutations allow for only the ones who only the genes that actually are better adapted to their current environment to be passed down. That's a huge summary, so forgive me. But natural selection can also apply culturally. Can apply in terms of the way a species advances. For example, and this is actually something that came up in Babylon 5, if you become a very advanced species in terms of personal strength and martial prowess and whatnot, then you tend to be much less advanced technologically. Now that is fully logical. Technology exists to supplant our abilities. We as human beings are tool users, right? We actually are relatively weak when it comes to our ability to function, if not for our tool-using abilities, right? So if we were super strong and had armored skin and giant claws and all these other things that would enable us to function much better without tools, statistically speaking, at least this is the overall predominant theory, we wouldn't be nearly as advanced technologically speaking because we wouldn't have to be, right? Because it would the need for developing things like a spear or fire would have been much, much less, if not absent entirely. The reason I'm bringing this up is the Taurens are huge. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, but these things are basically like 7 to 9 feet tall. Taurens are big guys. Taurens are huge, very, very strong, very, very durable, live long lives, and have a very natural connection to the environment around them, magically speaking. They are very naturally strong. So while their society has progressed in terms of greater understanding of the ancestors, greater understanding of the magic, greater understanding of the elements, as far as actual technological progress, they haven't, because they haven't needed to. It's only in very, very, very recent times that's actually been a consideration. Sigh. Hamburger jokes. Hamburger jokes. Go ahead, get them all out of your system. Get them all out of your system. Get it over with. We'll call him the Flame Keeper. No, I don't like that. The Lumberjack, because that's just ironic. No, we'll call him... Actually, I think Flamekeeper does suit best. We'll go with... Yeah, Flamekeeper. So, that's one of the reasons why, despite being, again, one of the original races, the Taurens have never needed to be stronger. By a bit of contrast, the Trolls, while certainly strong, remember that regeneration ability they have? That's not natural. They developed that thanks to their connection to the Loa. So they are effectively the... they are effectively the same equivalent of humans in real life. Now, let's just make one thing very clear. Guns are not that advanced technology. Guns have been around since... I don't even remember. A long freaking time. Guns are not advanced. It is, automated rifles and more modern guns that have only actually come out in the last century that are advanced. So, yes, they do use guns. However, it is also worth noting that guns were not even a part of their history until as recently as when they encountered the Horde, which I can go ahead and give... Yeah, I hate that sound too. Let's get rid of that. Which I can go ahead and give the timeline on. So yeah, guns only entered their existence about 8 years ago. Give or take. So that's how recent that has been a thing for them. Now, this is the other thing I wanted to point out, though, because that is a good point that someone Joker's making. The Taurens have very recently, again, basically as of Warcraft 3, been introduced to high technology. And just because they didn't develop it on their own doesn't mean they're not adept at it. In fact, we actually see quite a few Taurens who gain the ability to, pilot flying machines and become engineers and all that other stuff because they're an intelligent race just like any other intelligent race. They just never naturally developed that because, as I just pointed out, they never needed to. In actual fact, this might literally be a sort of a Star Trek Prime Directive sort of a situation. You have a very intelligent, very powerful race which you just introduced technology to. Higher technology to. And as we've seen, the Taurens have taken to that technology immediately. So, I mean, yeah. Anyways, the other thing I want to talk about with regards to the Taurens is their... Taurens in general tend to be much, much more connected with most of the more natural forms of magic than others. Taurens are actually were one of the only two races that could make druids back in vanilla. Now, I adamantly disagree with the whole restricting race thing, as I've discussed before, but it does make a point. The vast, vast majority of druids, percentage-wise, are actually, of the Horde are Taurens. If you were to take all of the druids, like, in the entire world, a little over half of them would be Taurens. Remember, Taurens have been druids for longer than Night Elves have been druids. Night Elves had to have druidism introduced to them. The Taurens discovered it naturally before the War of the Ancients was ever even a thing. Similarly, Tauren shamans are probably one of the most predominant races as far as shamanism goes ever, basically. They really tend to lean that way. Now, this is actually funny because most races, or most cultures, I should say, tend to lean in one direction or another, either towards ancestral magic or towards elemental magic. The Taurens, I feel, are one of the very, very few that pretty much sit right in the middle. Again, I mean culturally, not on an individual basis. The Taurens have a huge ancestral culture, basically. It's one of the things that a fairly large number of their venerable elders choose to do, including Cairn, to allow themselves to stay dead, because, you know, they know resurrection, they know reincarnation, to allow themselves to stay dead so they can remain an ancestral spirit and help their descendants. Similarly, of course, they have a huge connection with the elements and tend to use that pretty much constantly in their structures, in their technology, in their society, in their fighting, in their everyday life. Excuse me. Debatable is a one joker, but I would argue the Wildhammers lean more in one direction than in the balance, as far as a culture goes. Again, what was I saying? Lost my train of thought. I really did. Whatever. Let's just go ahead and advance. You've fought well, Planeswalker. We may yet be saved. Despite their size, you have dinged. Well, I do like dinging. What the heck? Oh, there it is. That is the dumbest smile in the universe. Okay. Despite their size, the bristleback brave greatly outnumber us. A pack ambush can easily overwhelm even the largest Tauren. Many new initiates have taken up arms to defend our home. Some have given their lives, but others have been captured alive. Please, find their cages and free them. The battle should keep the Quillboar distracted. You're gonna have to be a little more specific than that, Gold Ninja. Right, so... excuse me. Admittedly, there's also some more, society reasons. Hey, Mind Blast. Yes, they do. There's more society reasons for why the Tauren tend to be so elementally inclined and why they have not advanced technologically. For them, they're the kind of people who will actually apologize to the land for, you know, using lumber and mining and that kind of a thing. Now, it's not that they won't. This is an important distinction. They're not zealots who are like, I will kill you, blah, blah, blah. What, you mean like this, Nothrazim? Lightning, lightning death. Like that, Nothrazim? Is that what you mean? But, words. The Taurens, it looks like I'm going to have to wait till that. The Taurens, damn, I'm really getting distracted this morning. They aren't Dita, exactly. They're more reasoned in it. They want to respect the land, so they want to harvest from the land. They do chop down lumber. They do mine for ore. They do, you know, make farms. They do set up, you know, farm animals. They do domesticate. They do actually use the land, but they try to do so within balance and respect. So they don't overmine. They don't over-harvest. They go out of their way to replant. That kind of a thing. It's actually funny because, simply because of their natural veneration for the land, thanks to that elemental connection I mentioned earlier, they actually, I would say by accident, stumbled upon the key of balance when it comes to harvesting from the terrain, aka... aka, you know, you take, but you also replenish, which is something that human beings, it took a surprisingly large period of time, relatively speaking, for us to figure that out. Damn it to hell. I don't know. Whenever we're done with all of Kalimdor, Zoan Joker. So not for a while. Thanks to you, our people are free to fight for our home. We've struck a great blow against the Quillboar here. I will stay here and hold the line, but you need to move on. Seek Adana Thunderhorn. She has taken a few braves to the southwest to root out the rest of the bristleback. Yeah, that's a pretty good way of putting it, Leander. I would agree with that. And yeah, Mulgore is probably the least affected zone by the Cataclysm. At least in terms of terrain. The quests were changed a bit, which is nice. What am I doing? This is what I'm doing. I think we're going to fully heirloom up. So, I guess we'll do these. Right? I think I have the right things. I'm not even sure. Okay, here we go. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, I swears. Whoops. See, I should have all of these. Yeah, that's because I do. The next plan... I'm going to be doing this Lorerun for the next month and a half, and you're asking me about the next planned Lorerun? Jeez Louise, man. Well, at the moment, I'm literally limited to Elemental, so I might as well just go with Elemental. But in all honesty, and in total sincerity, the next planned Lorerun is blank. I have no future Loreruns planned. 0. More trials lie ahead, Planeswalker. I hope you're prepared. Oh, I can turn the sound back on. We're away from the guns. One of the first lessons you should learn is to never underestimate your prey. While we are distracted by an attack on Camp Narash, more of the bristlebacks swept in unnoticed and stole a cache of our rifles. You can see them to the south now, filling the air with lead. This is your right of courage. Brave the hail of gunfire. Hunt the bristleback gun thieves and bring back our rifles. Knowing the ways of your prey is another aspect of the hunt. In the lands they come from, Quillbore live in the shade and protection of huge thorned roots. When they move, their shamans seed and grow new roots for them to live in. Those thorns mar the land and choke out other life, turning the earth around them barren. Go to the south and stop these thorn callers before they have a chance to continue.
Farewell.
Well, you don't like my shoulders? Come on, man. These shoulders are awesome. These shoulders are like, I could just punk, chunk in the face. Yeah, I look even worse now. Hey, call me.
I've been expecting you.
Just a moment ago, a messenger was looking for you. I believe she was sent by the shaman trainer Mila. If this is from Mila, I wouldn't take long in reading its contents.
Ancestors watch over you.
I greet you, young shaman. The winds told me of your courage. The earth gave praise of your strength, and the ancient spirits speak of your accomplishments to come. Our people always need wise and great leaders. They often turn to our kind for both virtues. If you are willing, I would teach you more of our ways. Seek me out, and we will speak more then. So yeah, the Bristleborn are an interesting race, because on the one hand, I actually feel kind of bad for them as species, because they're kind of maligned by basically everyone and everything. But on the other hand, there's a pretty good reason why. You know how the goblins and, well, several races actually. You know how several races just kind of take and despoil and conquer and all that? None of them really do that as badly as the Bristleboar do. The Bristleboar quite literally destroy the terrain as they go. Now, I already kind of described that why. But what I mean by that is they are fully assimilative, if that makes any sense. Hang on just a second. Here I am in my terrible outfit. Get rid of that face. Okay. They... Well, okay, have any of you seen The Matrix, the first one? Because, in the very first Matrix movie, Agent Smith gives this big speech about humans are viruses, which is also not true, if I feel like being... Just I feel like pointing that out, because if I don't, someone else is going to say it. But he gives this big speech about how the humans take from a resource and multiply until they move on and spread to another area and destroy that area and spread to another area and destroy that area and spread to another area. That is pretty much exactly what the Bristleboar, the Quillbore, that is to say, actually do. They literally conquer an area, spread, and just destroy the nearby terrain until it gets to the point where even under their own unique form of existing, they actually can't continue to survive in the new destroyed terrain, in the new damaged terrain they've made. So what they do is they move on to another area. So they have a very naturally violent outlook on society and culture in general, and they tend to be a little short-sighted. I think is the word I want to use there. And they also have this really fond this really fond habit of trying to. Okay, so Quillboars are not actually that strong. They're not that strong militarily, they're not that strong personally, they're not that strong economically, they're not that strong politically, they're not that strong technologically, and they're not that strong magically. Quillbar are one of the small races. They're one of the Italies. I just realized that, taken out of context, that sounds horrible. What I mean is like in the World War I or World War II sense. You know, Italy was one of the small nations. Still a part of the events, still relevant. But when you compare Italy to Germany or France in World War I, it's a big difference, right? So they are one of the little nations, one of the little powers. In fact, they were one of the ones that I was going to have in my mongrel horde idea. And yes, we will see just how bad their land gets after they've actually taken it quite a bit later. This is recent. This is recent conquest right here, what you're seeing. And you'll notice, even though they've only recently moved in, like days or weeks prior to the now, already the vines, and by the nature of the way this particular magic works, this is a primitive form of druidic magic, by the way, if you're curious. Because of the way this magic works, it literally absorbs the life from surrounding plant life in order to sustain itself. And you can, I mean, I shouldn't even have to explain why it is that this is a bad thing long term. It works for them in the short term, and then they've got to move on, and then they do it again, and so forth and so on. So yeah, they are a constant source of aggravation for basically everyone who live in this region. The irony is, it is the very nature of that constant growth and culture that they have in growing it that makes them a problem. They almost can't coexist with other societies properly because they constantly need new lands because they're constantly ruining the old ones. Why do they do it? That's an excellent question. There was this very powerful Loa, the Loa of Boars, actually, called Agamar. They actually pronounce it at one point in time, but I can never remember how they pronounce it. Hey, Jay. Excuse me. I have heard of Indiegogo, yes. So, I forget exactly how they pronounce it, but he was a Loa of Boars. He was one of the ancient, quote-unquotes, who fought during the War of the Ancients, and he died! And the poisonous reaction to the Loa's death is what caused the very first of these roots to take place. Fast forward about 10,000 years, and it's gotten to the point where they consider them all the... No, I did not, Ziwan. I actually never got around to it because I'm stupid. I got so distracted by everything else. The roots pulled up and the thorns pulled up as a result of his twisting and diseasing the earth. Again, a pseudo form of druidic magic. And so the Quillboar venerated that. They're like, oh, this is clearly a blessing from our god. And so to them, those thorns are actually a holy thing. So to them, it is logical that they need those wherever they happen to be. Now, you might be thinking, well, hang on. These guys have been around for 10 freaking thousand years ago. You know, how have they survived this long? There's two answers to that. Answer one, it's a plot hole. So there's your first answer. That's really what it boils down to. Because, as I've said before, Blizzard tends to not realize just how long a period of time 10,000 years is. That's a stupid long period of time. So, first problem. Or first answer. Second answer, which is debatable. It is within the realm of possibility that the land that has been poisoned and choked by the thorns can actually be regrown. Can be fixed, basically, you know. So, if you can imagine for 10 millennia, the Quillboar moving around and the druids moving behind them fixing the terrain. Shrug. It is also possible there's a third option. So, I mentioned how it's difficult for them to even function, societally speaking, because of the fact that they won't let go of the thorns, and the thorns are detrimental to their own society. Well, it is possible that we simply don't know that there's something that they actually grab some sustenance or ability to function from the thorns. So, yeah, pretty much, Dakota. You could just make the War of the Ancients happen 1,000 years ago, and even that's a huge freaking period of time. Might even be too long a period of time, but it would still fit better. Anyways, especially since if you look at the time, I'm sorry, I hate to rant on this, but if you look at this timeline real quick. So, here's the events, okay? The major events, the significant events that happen across the timeline. 10,000 years ago, War of the Ancients. 6,800 years ago. That's when Quel'Thalas is founded. 2,800 years ago, Troll Wars. That's it. 3 incidents happen in the last 9,800 years. 3. Then when you get to the much more recent time, when the War of the Three Hammers happens, then history starts progressing significantly, and Lorerun is founded, and the Seven Kingdoms are founded, and all sorts of stuff happens. All the events with the dwarves happen. We get to the First War, the Second War, yada yada yada. But for the last chunk there, it's just like trillions of years, nothing happened. For bajillions of years. Anyways, rant off. So it is possible the Quillbar are drawing some kind of ability to function, to live, to have food out of the thorns. It is also possible they're literally doing something else. See, given their violent nature, I imagine trade is out of the question, which is the logical answer. If they were a functional society, them trading something that they have for themselves, of themselves that would be of value to others for food and equipment and tools, that would actually work. Then they could have their holy lands, their dead holy lands, and they can still function as a society. Unfortunately, since we actually know for a fact one of the things they do, I'm afraid the actual answer, and this is what I've been building to all this time, is they're raiders. No, I don't mean like in Fallout. That's disgusting. What I mean is they actually go and pillage and steal to survive, because we see them do this constantly. We saw them do this all the way back in Warcraft 3. They do this all over the place in WoW. So it is far more likely that the way they have been keeping going for a ridiculous amount of time is, it's like, okay, we need more food. Let's go, food, blah, 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 steal all the food, go back. Yes, now we will sit in the shade of our horrible poisonous fruits and thorns. Now, there is one thing I don't have an answer for. I've actually been asked this question before. Hi, Lulu. When someone asked me, you see this blighted terrain here? Because, again, the land around them just gets destroyed by the thorns. I was asked, do they actually consider that a good thing? Like in other words, for some people, going ahead, like the Forsaken actually think, dead, blighted land looks good. To use an example of what I'm talking about. Not what we consider good is not what they consider good. So he was asking me, do the Quillbar actually think this is good land? And like all of this stuff over here is the blight to them, from relative perspectives. I have no idea if that's true or not. In my mind, there's a couple of possibilities here. I mean, that is the first possibility, that they actually enjoy the blighted terrain. I mean, they've been living in it for forever. Second possibility is that they view it as like, this is what we must endure. We must endure this blighted land in order to venerate our God. It's a way of challenging us and challenging our faith. That kind of an idea. And of course, it's possible they don't even notice. They might literally not actually be aware of the real difference there. And as Schmeidolf points out, it is actually quite possible that they do hunting and gathering outside of their thorn terrain. So that would be another probability.
Ah, I've been expecting you.
So we brought back your guns. Respect your prey and the danger it carries. Respect, by the way, that word right there pretty much describes all of Tauren society. I mean, I'm going to be talking about Tauren society over the next however many hours, but seriously, if you were to describe all Tauren culture with one word, it is the word respect.
Walk with the earth.
With the corruptors slain, the Earth Mother will mend her own wounds in due time. The roots are not meant to thrive here and will wither. Balance will return.
Winds be at your back.
Ding, apparently.
We shall meet again.
Hang on just a second. Wait, what am I doing? I have heirloom gear on. Okay. Should be a way to stop grinning like an idiot in these.
What brings you here?
There are more threats to be dealt with here. The bristleback are taming wild boars to be used against us. These armored battle boars have been abused long beyond hope of recovery. They must be put down for our safety and their peace. Go to the pens to the south and slay them. We must do more than simply hunt boars here. The eyesore that has been left upon the land must be purged. To give them a wild thirst for blood, the battle boars are force-fed raw flesh. Blah. Take this torch and use it to burn troughs of meat and gore to cinders.
May the eternal sun shine upon thee.
So we don't actually know who or what the Earth Mother is, specifically. I have no idea, Toby. I don't think they should, but that's because I think they should do it while WoW is still out. There are several possibilities. Well, what I'm doing, Jay, is I'm not doing it in lore. There are several possibilities for what the Earth Mother actually are. Probably Dakota. So yeah, we don't actually know what the Earth Mother is. There are several possibilities for what the Earth Mother is. The most obvious possibility is they're actually talking about Therazane. And that's actually been brought up several times. It is, of course, the most mundane answer by a wide margin. But, shrug. The next most obvious option is Therazane is actually a loon. There's actually a decent amount of evidence in support of that idea. Especially since a lot of what the Tauren do culturally to venerate the Earth Mother is actually pretty much exactly what the Night Elves do to venerate a loon. And the two have been compared directly several times. I am a shaman at the moment, Toby. A friend of mine, Zoan Joker, who was very much looking forward to this lore run. Not anybody who's a viewer. Just a friend of mine. Where's the finger? Oh, duh, I'm stupid. Burn! Burn in hellfire! Anyways. Third option. The Earth Mother is actually a Tauren. Now, I know what you're thinking. How does that make any sense? Try to remember that one of the most important things to Taurens in general, and in specific, really, is ancestral magic and ancestral veneration, right? Honoring the ancestors, respecting the ancestors. It is possible the Earth Mother, and I've heard this theory tossed around many times, is basically one of the original Tauren. Probably the first Tauren to ever become an ancestral spirit, all the way back in the long ago. And people have been honoring and serving her ever since because she has been basically become the Loa of Tauren. Which, by the way, is actually the next... yeah, he wanted a slideshow, Lilu. If the selfies bother you that much, then just look away for a second, okay? It's not that big of a deal. I keep my word, so I'm doing it. You can't convince me not to. Anyways... So, the final option is that this Earth Mother is literally the Loa of Tauren. Or possibly the Loa of, like, the Earth in general. But I kind of doubt that. It's more likely it's of the Tauren in particular.
Peace.
Of course, you're probably, you're like, well, what do you think, Arsh? Well, yes, little Billy. Of all of those options, based on the way the setting is going... For me, I actually really like the idea that she was the first ancestral Tauren. It's not necessarily the most likely, but it is the idea I enjoy the most. It is the idea that fits Tauren culture the most for me. That one original Tauren was like, I will die for the sake of my people, became the very first ancestral spirit, and basically invented ancestral magic as a result of that. So... I don't know. I just really like that idea. It fits them so well. I mean, especially given what happened with poor Cairn. Don't worry, we'll be talking about Cairn in a minute. Good work, Planeswalker. Those beasts could have been a greater threat than the Quillboar themselves if we'd not taken action now.
We shall meet again.
We've not only wiped the boar pens clean, but put a stop to a horrible desecration. Well done. Chief Squealer Thornmantle leads these Quilboar. It was he that set upon Great Mother Hawkwind and took her life, leading the attack on Camp Larash. He fled and hid afterwards, but we found him. He lurks to the west within his foul den of thorns, fending off any braves we send after him. You've proven yourself a brave defender of your people, Planeswalker. Kill Thornmantle, bring his mane to Chief Hawkwind, in honor of our Great Mother.
Walk with the Earth Mother.
Well, that, like I said, that is actually probably... I didn't finish my sentence. The most likely thing is that the Earth Mother is Elune, is the Titan. That all three of those are the same entity. Based on what we understand, that fits all the pieces pretty well, actually. Not sure what I think of that idea, but it would fit. I mean, remember, Elune, a.k.a. we're pretty sure at this point. I mean, the more I think about it, the more this seems really, really likely. Elune talked to the ancient Dark Trolls and taught them all the Titan words and Titan technology and understanding and magic, and changed them over time into the Night Elves. And of course, the Earth Mother basically did the same thing for the Tauren. The parallels between the two are huge.
Squealer, take this land! Squealer will burn!
No, I'm dead. Now, the Taurens actually... the Taurens only recently actually settled from what we understand. So in ages past, the Taurens were a... migrant. Yeah, migrant is the right word. A migrant race. So they just kind of did this. Roamed around Kalimdor. All over the place. We have no idea, Jay. They're one of the original species. So... that when we just think about an original species, that's pretty much the answer. Is they're one of the original species, so there's no origin story there. They just were here. Again, Taurens, Pandaren, Trolls. Those are the three that are absolutely confirmed, and then there's a few that are not. And when I say absolutely, I mean from our understanding right now, nomads. That's the actual word I was thinking of. Nomads, not to be confused with the snowmads. Please tell me someone gets that joke. Anyways,
Well met.
They very, very recently actually
May the
had...
eternal sun
So, okay.
shine upon
The Taurens as a people were very, very close to being completely screwed as a people. One of the things that I find interesting is the timing of that incident. Right about at the time... I'm getting there, Zewan. God, dude, seriously. We're not even to Thunder Bluff yet, man. Well, now I've lost my train of thought. Right, so the coincidence of the timing of the fact that the Taurens were endangered as a race by a massive upsurge in the Centaurs in particular, and a few other races in the area, happening to coincide with the Horde's original landing on these shores. I gotta be honest, it smacks of plot contrivance. I've actually looked into the lore, and there's no given stated reason why now, of all times, and by what now I mean prior to Warcraft 3, why at that point in time the Taurens were suddenly in danger. Like, for after 10,000 years of being fine, absolutely out of nowhere, they just suddenly start being on the run and on the gun and barely able to exist as a people. And for the record, by the way, I know Warcraft 3 doesn't get it across properly, so let me make this completely clear. In Warcraft 3, it makes it sound like just this one little band of Cairn's people, his particular people, the Bloodhoof, are the ones who are in danger. Let me make this a little bit more clear. All of the Taurens, as a race, were endangered when Warcraft 3 was starting. And the Horde came in and saved the Taurens, the whole of the Tauren people. If you've ever wondered why Taurens and Orcs and Trolls form the core of the family Horde, that's why. Because the Orcs came in and said, "We will help you!" And the Taurens said, "That is awesome!" And there's a bond of blood there that's probably never getting broken. The fact that the Taurens and the Trolls are still loyal to the Horde, despite Garrosh's actions, says a lot, I think, at this point. Now, you know I can't just leave it at that, though. Probably Mind Blast. But on the other hand, maybe they had a reaction similar to the Gentleman High Samurai that the human Death Knight in Icecrown Citadel did. Excuse me. In Icecrown Citadel, there's a human who has literally gouged out his own eyes because he refuses to look on a world he has damaged so severely. That's kind of the kind of thing I could imagine a Tauren Death Knight doing. Being so wounded that they have to literally mutilate themselves in order to atone to themselves for what they've done. So, there is one theoretical possibility for why the Taurens were suddenly under such a duress. And it's actually really, really simple. Theradris. For those of you not aware, Theradris has actually been in Moradin for quite some time, as we'll talk about when we get there. However, much more recently, Theradris had actually become active, and her becoming active pushed the Centaurs to becoming active, and suddenly the Centaurs started going off in this entire war parade, basically. And the Centaurs, as we've discussed before, are actually fairly strong militarily speaking, for the same reason that, for example, the Magnetar are. So when the Centaurs went on the rampage, the Tauren just weren't ready for them, and that's one of the reasons. This is all headcanon, by the way, but it does fit the facts we have. So in my headcanon, the Taurens were pushed into severe aggressive expansionism and hunted down the Taurens again to the point where they were endangered as an entire race. And the Taurens were so unprepared that once they lost the momentum in the fight, they never regained it. And that's why when the Horde came in... Well, then we must disagree forever, Takoida! Bring it! Anyways.
I've been expecting you.
Have you completed your trials, young one? The chief of the Bristleback is slain. Great Mother Hawkwind's spirit has been avenged. The camp is dinged, and the Quillbore driven off, all thanks to you, young one. You have my personal thanks for what you have done for my mother, my son, and for all of us. It is time to put the Great Mother to rest. Lay the final offering at her feet, Planeswalker. We will all say our goodbyes.
Walk with the Earth Mother.
Earth Mother, into your arms we give one of our own. She is Unaya Hawkwind, my mother, and Great Mother to all, the wisest of our tribe. May her spirit fly to you swiftly. May the winds carry her gently, and the grasp whisper her name. Watch over her as she gets watched over by us. As she has watched over by us. Let her look down upon us with joy, through the eternal gaze of Anshi and Musha, until we too join her in death. For we are all born of you, and all shall return to you.
What brings you here?
There is balance in all things. As Great Mother Hawkwind's spirit takes its final journey, you will begin your first. Today you have undertaken a rite of passage far more difficult than we ask of most of our youths. Be proud. Now is time for you to continue your journey. To the west, beyond the burial ground, you will find a path winding up the mesa. Follow it to the top and speak with Diami Windsor. Walk with the Earth Mother, friend. You will always be welcome here.
We shall meet again.
The winds guide you.
Just gonna turn that in really quick.
Ancestors watch over you.
Tutorial quest. Bzz. There's a cooldown, apparently. Yes and no, One Joker. The, okay, so the trolls dominate death, if I was to put it into such terms. They're like, you can't kill us, we'll always come back, and we'll always kill, and we'll always be awesome. You know, they bind spirits, they bind Loa, they control death, they force their souls to not ascend or become ancestral spirits, or to go to the light, or to the dark, you know. The trolls control death as if it's something to be, as if it's lesser than them. As if it's a pack animal that they are controlling, right? By contrast, the Taurens have an understanding of death which means that they are much less in danger of it affecting them adversely, if that makes any sense. So most Taurens actually enter the light rather peacefully, and most Taurens move on rather peacefully, and of course a huge number of Taurens become ancestral spirits, which again is a choice, so it can't be forced upon them. So I think it would be closer to say, yeah, that's a good way to put it, Samurai. Death is another thing for the trolls to conquer. Whereas the Tauren, death is just another natural process of things. So it's not that they have a mastery over death, it's that they are utterly unafraid of death, because death is just another part of life to them, if that makes any sense. They're at peace with death.
Ah, I've been expecting you.
It is also worth noting that if the theory of what the Loa are is true, the Tauren Loa probably also follow this same general philosophy, whereas Troll Loa tend to, as was pointed out, do the same thing to the trolls that the trolls do to everything else. I also agree with Tekoida. Most Tauren don't actually show emotion in the sense that most other races do, which is funny because, as weird as this sounds, when it comes to pure emotion, Tauren remind me of Vulcans more than anything else. Now I know what you're thinking. What the hell? Where are you getting that from? As anybody who loves Star Trek knows, Vulcans have a very, very powerful and a very large amount of emotions. Vulcans are extremely emotional people. They thus have a constant and non-stop internal discipline that is keeping those emotions under control. That's the whole point of the Vulcan people. Very emotional, very disciplined. So this constant storm that they are honing and refining into something that they can use properly. With me? I feel that's the same way with the Taurens. We've seen how the Taurens get when they actually get roused, when they actually get upset, or when they actually get happy or whatever. We've seen really significant, powerful emotions from the Tauren, but it takes a lot to get to the point where that's actually shown. For the rest of the time, they're all doing this thing. They've got the Zen thing going on. They are self-restrained, if you will. Or if I could put this another way, Taurens show emotions more subtly than other races. Also, I really, really wish the increased render radius thing was again. For the 50th time, I wish Legion was already out, because you should see what Mulgore looks like when you can see the whole valley here. This kind of gives you an idea if I just get rid of the fog out there. This is probably one of my favorite places to just go and hang out, just because I love the idea of the green rolling hills. I don't know why. This place is just gorgeous to me. Not that over there, obviously, but, the rest of it.
The winds guide you.
If you are prepared to leave Camp Narashi behind, I will call the spirits to guide you onwards. But before I do that, actually, it just occurred to me. I forgot they completely changed these quests, so give me just a moment. I want to show you something, if you don't mind if I share you something from my history, if you will. Something that matters to me. Oh, I'm sure psychotic. They're about the same size, too. So, while I'm en route here, I'll go ahead and talk about something else. The Tauren, as we mentioned earlier, it is most likely that the Earth Mother is in fact a Titan. It would explain a lot of things, especially how the Tauren in general developed, and their strong connection to the earthly elements and all that fun stuff. So, in other words, the Titan gave them that connection to the earth and the life, and gave the Night Elves connection to the arcane and the light. It is worth noting that Taurens also have connection to the light, by the way. Tauren Paladins is not actually a new idea per se. It's more accurate to say that it's only recently they have become official Paladins, but there's always been Taurens who have been followers of the light. With me? You probably wonder what the hell I'm doing. Don't worry, there's a point here. So the... Wow, there are a lot of bristleback over here. So the Taurens, as we'll point out... Oh, wait, can I not get it there anymore? Oh, no. Hang on. The Taurens, I think the best way to put this is the Taurens demonstrate several aspects of following and knowing of the Titans without having any idea about the Titans, at all. they got rid of the cave. I can't show you. I can't show you. I'm sad now. Okay, then. I would say, if as far as who would win in an unarmed match between a Tauren and a Wookiee, it would depend on if the Wookiee used their claws. And if the Tauren used his horns, for that matter. Okay, so I've told this story kind of before, but I can't actually get to the location, so I'm going to do the best I can to emulate this here. Once upon a time, a game called World of Warcraft came out. And after pushing through some of the early stuff and figuring out how terrible the UI is, I made 3 characters. An undead warlock, a orc warrior, and a Tauren. I forget the class. Really, I do. I think it was actually a warrior. And, wow, they've really changed the terrain around here. So I went to this one particular hill, and I know exactly where it was. It's actually not there anymore. I have gone and checked. I have looked on a character who has flying and can fly there. The actual spot doesn't exist anymore. But so what I did is I had been playing my my orc warrior first, and I just ran around and had fun with it. And it was great. Then I went on to my undead warlock, and I played around and had fun with it. And it was great. Everything was awesome, and I was just really enjoying the whole experience. And then I made my Tauren warrior, and I was trying to make it work so I could be like an unarmed Tauren warrior, because I figured, you know, Taurens should be unarmed fighters. So I literally didn't have a weapon equipped. That didn't last very long. But we'll go ahead and use this plateau over here as the equivalent. Because what I see, if you're paying attention, I played through 3 characters in WoW in succession. So by the time I hopped to my warrior, or my Tauren warrior, it was close to like 5 or 6 in the morning. And I'd been up all night. So I was really exhausted, and I was just like, oh my god, I really need to be going to bed. But before I did, this is actually not a bad view comparatively. There's a spot that used to exist in vanilla, right around over here, that you could perch up on, and I had crawled my way up there. And I just was watching, just looking over the terrain, and by sheer happenstance, as I was doing so, the sun rose. In-game, I mean. Because, for those of you not aware, the sun in-game follows the timing of real life, so it was, you know, sunrise in-game. And I was just sitting here watching this, and I just sat here for like 10, 15 minutes watching the sun slowly rise over the horizon. It's one of my earliest and strongest memories of this game, in general. And I remember just looking at it and just being like, wow. Just being completely blown away by it. I didn't even have words. I just sat there and watched it. And I'm pretty sure I fell asleep in my chair afterwards. And then I, you know, went to bed. But I wanted to share that with you because, again, that's one of my earliest memories of this game ever, is watching the sunrise in-game on my Tauren. So. Stupid story, I know.
Greetings, traveler.
Ahem. Look, Planeswalker, the rolling plains of Mulgore stretch before you. Our home, the cradle of the Earth Mother. Here she provides us with all we could ever need, a peaceful and verdant land. This is what you will fight to protect. Your journey will take you far beyond her sheltered arms, to the farthest and cruelest regions of the world and beyond. Below us is Bloodhoof Village. The first step on your true path begins now. Drink deep of the waters of vision, and let the spirits guide you onwards.
Walk with the Earth Mother.
I agree, Bowluck. I was kind of hoping a few other players would share some of their earliest moments. Their big memories. I've actually already shared with you guys during this stream a couple of my big moments. First time I walked through the Dark Portal is a big example of that. I'll be telling you one when we get to the Orc starter zone too. And one that's a little less emotional when we get to the Forsaken starter zone as well. Yeah, yeah, you've told me about the Dune Rogue moment.
Well met.
So,
Go in peace.
well, let's just read the
Peace,
quest real quick.
friend.
Welcome to Bloodhoof Village, hero. I'm glad the spirits have guided you safely here.
Be careful.
Planeswalker, there are many conflicts that wound this land. It is my hope you will not bear witness to as many of them as our elders have. Yet there is one I would ask you to seek. It will give you some sense of how terrible, if left unchecked, even a small threat can be to our land. Pale-maned gnolls have settled to the south of Bloodhoof, and in a cave to the west. They disrespect our attempts to communicate with them, and slay the wildlife of Mulgore unbridled. Words are no longer the answer.
Ancestors watch over you.
Oh, God, Braglin. There were quite a few. Fury Warriors for life. You are thinking of the Grim Totem tribe, Mind Blast. Okay, so what actually... I suppose I should explain what just happened. As I mentioned, the Taurens have a bit of a balance between elemental and ancestral magic. What just happened is we just used a special ceremony with the specially prepared water to drink of it. Now, the water itself, this is actually kind of important, the water itself doesn't actually do anything. It is a sign of respect to the elements, which they then use as they didn't agree to basically fulfill their end of the bargain there. So you respected us, we will respect you. And so they go ahead and give us this temporary magical form, the form of the bird, in order to fly us down to the village. It's the kind of thing that arguably the Tauren could do much more often as a people if they chose to. But of course they don't, because they don't overuse their resources. Remember, respect. Actually, Ravenwind, I remember very, very well the trip from Teldrassil to Stormwind, actually. But yeah, it's... it was quite a trip. For those of you not aware, it used to be quite a hassle, because you'd get on Teldrassil, you have to walk through this area, go through the portal, go across the sea, get from here, go to the next thing, end up in wetlands, back when Menethil was still here. Walk through a level 30 zone. This is usually at level like 3, by the way. Walk through a level 30 zone, usually corpse drag your way, go up through the actual paths, and then once you hit Loch Madan, you're actually safe. Make the trip here, make the trip over through Dune Morrogue. Oh, Dune Morrogue, there we go. Up into Ironforge, and then take the tram down to Stormwind. It was a long freaking trip, and I did it more than once. Oh, sorry. Back when Menethil meant something. I could be more derogatory. Back when Menethil wasn't a pile of debris. There we go. I think that's a good idea. To quit it wouldn't surprise me if it basically is. Well, that would be nice, Permeus, but that's a gameplay story segregation situation, you know? There is a method, and this has been tossed around at Blizzard several times. So I'm going to talk about game design for just a second. As I've talked about before, there are benefits of hyper-specialization, and there are benefits of homogenization when it comes to game design, right? And there are benefits and detriments to both. I've already talked about most of those, but I want to talk about one in particular called racial bonuses. So some people believe that the race you make should really only matter aesthetically speaking. Functionally speaking, in terms of pure hard mechanics, there's some people think there really shouldn't be any gameplay variance between the different races. And there is a lot to be said for that. The idea therefore being you get to play the race you want to play, as opposed to the race you have to play. And I can kind of agree with that sentiment because, let's just say the only reason I have a Tauren Druid is because it was the only race that could be a druid, and that's the only reason I did it. And there's a few other things like that. For example, most of my Alliance characters were humans back in vanilla. because of the fact that they had that racial bonus of diplomacy, which was basically mandatory with the old reps. I mean, holy crap. I shouldn't say vanilla. BC is actually what I meant, but you know what I mean. So there is something to be said for that. But if you decide to go in the other direction, with specialization with regards to races, they could actually add a significant amount of variance to the actual racial abilities or racial stats or racial talents. So imagine if a shaman, like they would never do this, but if they went to the furthest other extent, imagine if a Tauren shaman literally had different abilities or their abilities worked differently because of the fact that they are a Tauren shaman versus, you know, an Orc shaman or a Draenei shaman or whatever. In fact, similarly, imagine if a Draenei shaman's ability, you get the general idea. So, rather than using the few abilities that every shaman uses, you'd be using the Tauren shaman abilities, which have different function and different bonuses and different detriments. Now, the main negative for that, other than the amount of time and effort that it takes to implement that, is the fact that someone will always math out this is the best, and then that will become the new best. For the same reason that I just mentioned. You know, we made Taurens and Night Elves because we had to. A lot of people will look at, well, if I want to be competitive in high-end raids, or if I want to be competitive in PvP, I have to make insert this race, insert this class, because it's the best possible combination, mathematically speaking. So, now there's an in-between of that. And that in-between is make the races have cosmetically different abilities, whereas functionally, gameplay-wise, they're actually still the same. So, kind of a mix of the two. You're still specializing a little bit, because a Tauren shaman will look and will feel like it's acting differently than an Orc shaman or a Draenei shaman. But in terms of the sheer stats, if you were playing blind or just watching recount or whatever, it would be the same thing. So these are all options here gameplay-wise. And to make my point clear, in my opinion, none of these are correct. None of these are the best possible option. They're just different options with different positives and different negatives.
Peace, friend.
Hello, Love Disney. Our sacred wells have been tainted, and I will need you to help fix this. To cleanse each well, I need a cleansing totem. Then you must bring the totem to the well and perform a cleansing ritual. Whoa, slow down. You're going way too fast for me there, Mole Thunderhorn. Anyways.
We shall meet again. How may I aid you?
The swoop is a cunning bird and difficult to find and hunt. A collection of swoop quills is a badge of cleverness and determination in a hunter. If you're willing to take up this task, then enter the plains and hunt the swoop. Bring me their quills and bring honor to your clan. The swoops may be found anywhere in Mulgore, but your eyes must be sharp to spot them, and your hooves quick to catch them.
Goodbye.
So this is as good a time as any, speaking of racial differences, to talk about a racial difference that used to exist that was removed from the game. Now, the unfortunate thing is it was removed from the game because it was badly implemented. It was later re-added to the game for Worgens. I am talking, of course, about the Tauren Planeswalking ability, or whatever that was actually called. They used to have the ability to be like, Nyah! Basically they could be mounted form just by running. Again, pretty much exactly like the Worgens have now. You might be like, well, that sounds awesome. Why'd they get rid of it? Well, again, it was really, really poorly implemented. It basically was just a run speed buff. You had to accelerate up to full speed, and if you got hit or dazed or whatever, you were immediately broken out of it. And then you had to go back up and, you know, accelerate back up to full speed and yada, yada, yada. Hello, Seend the White. What happened to Seend the Gray? Anyways, so it was badly implemented, but I think it was actually overall a good idea. And again, the Worgen proved that it was overall a good idea because, you know, the Worgen concept works. I also think it actually fits Tauren a bit better than the Worgen. I get the Worgen, you know, all four legs. I get that with the Worgen, but honestly, Tauren's running at full tilt speed just makes a huge amount of degree of sense to me. There we go. Okay, so let's answer some questions really quick. Favorite WoW race to play as, or just in general? Because yeah, those are very, very different questions. So Love Disney wants me to tell him more about WoW, the game. Now, I immediately freeze up when I get questions like that. I had the question, I think it was just yesterday. It was like, can you summarize WoW's history to me? And I'm just sitting there like, I don't even know where to begin. My answer was basically no, I couldn't summarize it. There's such a huge, huge depth, and it's like summarizing Star Wars. How do you summarize Star Wars? Yes, I do, Psychotic. Don't worry, I'll share them. Remind me, so I don't forget. So I'm sitting. So it's like, so how do I summarize WoW the game? Okay, so this is an MMO, of course. I'm not complaining. It's just I froze up because it's like I don't know how to do that. Summarize all of Star Trek. You know, completely lock up. Just 404. You know, blue screen of death. But yeah, so summarizing the WoW the game, the best I can tell you, this is the MMO that unfortunately defined all MMOs after it. Now I say unfortunately, let me make one thing very, very clear. I love WoW. I've loved WoW all the way since vanilla. I have never stopped loving WoW. It has never stopped being an amazing game. They keep trying new things. They keep doing new things. They keep pushing the game further and further. And that's awesome. And I love it. There is one thing I could say about WoW, but it actually applies to all Blizzard games. One of the things Blizzard games tend to do is they say, you know, that other thing over there, that other game, or that other concept, or that whatever, they had a really good idea. Why don't we implement it, but better? That is actually Blizzard's modus operandi in a nutshell. They will take an idea or a concept that someone else implemented, that someone else invented, and now that it has been invented, they will polish it and work with it and work with it and work with it, and they will implement it better. So, WoW is the MMO that took a lot of ideas from other MMOs and implemented them better. It is obviously an RPG, and it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of story focus. There you go. There's your summary of WoW, because I got nothing else. If you want to try it, it is free to play up until level 20, so you can just pop on and play and try it out. Oh my god, Grim Totem! Die! I'm not even going to kill you with lightning. I hate you so much. I'm going to kill you with my frickin' mace. Die! We all hate Grim Totem. So, now to answer Jay's question. Favorite place to play as? A favorite race to play as? A tie between Forsaken and Night Elf. Favorite race lore-wise? Oh, man, that is a really, really tough one. Actually, no, Zoan Joker. There is exactly one thing Blizzard came up with that is unique. But otherwise, yes, Blizzard does not have original thoughts. And I love them for it. Forgive me for my pragmatic, cynical idea, but or cynical perspective, but I would rather have a company that takes new ideas and implements them better than a company that comes up with new stuff and implements them badly. Just my personal thoughts on the matter. Interesting scene. If you could come up with a why for that, I'd love to hear that. Dude, screw the Grim Totems. I'll talk about the Grim Totems in a second. Words. You're right. I'm sorry. There are two things Blizzard came up with that are original. My bad. Battle.net was the one big thing. I just realized there was another one, as you said that. So for those of you not aware, Battle.net was a big freaking deal back when they first implemented it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why is Battle.net a big deal? I want anybody here who remembers the days of having to pay a subscription to a separate... it should be working fine, King Bubble. I want you to... How many of you remember back when you had to pay for a completely third-party program to be able to play multiplayer games, in general? Or you had to know exactly the person you're going to play with and dial their modem directly to be able to play with them. And remember those days? Because that's how multiplayer used to work. Battle.net was the first functional, free multiplayer matchmaking service. Specifically, the matchmaking part is the part that matters, because there are plenty of multiplayer games, but matchmaking wasn't a thing, you know? Yeah, I remember GameSpy when it first got started. I remember there's another one I used back in the day. Oh, Roger Wilco. He just said it right there. Yeah. Yeah. Those were the days of terrible. And in case you don't know what I mean by that, it was really bad. I mean, like, okay, so I actually used to play Command & Conquer with my dad, for example. So I'd dial his modem when we'd play, and it'd be fun. And then there would be a blip in the service, or someone would try to call, and it was over. And the match was over. It was done. There was no reconnect. There was no try to start over. Heat. Yeah, I remember Heat, too. So Battle.net was like, hey, why don't we offer matchmaking service with reconnect option and friend service, you know, all the features of a matchmaking service, except it's free. And again, that was such a big deal. And Battle.net was one of the best services, too. The best matchmaking services for the day. GameSpy and Heat and all those were terrible. They were so it was like pulling teeth just to get connected for the first time. And then you'd be like, okay, we finally got the match together. Whoops, and then it's gone. And then trying to find the match again was a huge hassle. And I remember playing Counter-Strike back when Half-Life first came out, to use a similar example of this same problem. And Counter-Strike had its own matchmaking service set up. At least it did at one point in time. So yeah, point being, Battle.net was an awesome, awesome thing. Ugh. And that was the one big thing that Blizzard really did add to gaming as a community, as a culture, to gaming as a mindset, was Battle.net. Now, hang on. Someone just asked me if my thing is working, so give me a moment. Yeah, Steam. There's another weird story. Anyone remember when Steam was a joke? Because it was so bad. I suppose I should raise my hand here. I remember when Steam was literally just... It was one of those punchline things. You just say Steam, and that's the punchline. Anyone remember those days? Okay. Aha! Here it is. I have some rubles. Maybe? Hang on. It's just a little bit of delay there. Hang on. Something's weird here. Prog, I don't know if you know how bad Steam was back in the day. It used to be bad. Just incredibly bad. Unworking, unfixable garbage. Just, oh, it used to be horrible. Okay, now I'm confused. Hang on, just a second. I'm trying to figure out something with my PayPal here. Did that go? Ah, okay. So, do you want me to refund the previous one? Because I actually got the previous one, but I have to go and manually claim it because it wasn't in USD. So you want me to refund it real quick? And give you your RUBs back? I got better. The other big thing that Blizzard invented, by the way, is the Blizzard aesthetic. You might be like, what the hell's the Blizzard aesthetic? Well, you're looking at it. Seriously, look at the general graphic design of StarCraft 2, of Diablo 3, of WoW, of Warcraft 3. That's the Blizzard aesthetic. It was actually invented in Warcraft 2, and has been used in basically all of their things ever since. You specifically... Oh, right, real quick. Guys, so before you donate anything towards Sexy or Crayola, we have changed the donation incentive slightly. We have options now, because our characters are level 85, right? So, we have a couple of options, other options, for the normal suit over here, if you'd like to donate towards that instead. If you'll give me a moment, I have to convert these, are these rubles? I'm not sure what RUBs convert to. There we go. So theoretically. Okay, so up to here. So now I have more people. I actually said this earlier, so forgive me, YouTube viewers, for the fact that you're seeing this again. So we have a couple of new options for our transmog, like I said. I'll try and show them off really quick here. Hey, I don't know about you, but I would love a setting in which I literally have giant rubies that I use. Yep, there it is. I was expecting that one. Just still startled me. But okay, so here's one of our options that we'll be able to use as a suit for our normal suit. I want to remind you. So this right here is one of our options here. As you can see, Scourge Lord outfit will have different boots and a different cloak. But that's one of the options, as you can see. I'll just leave that up for a moment.
We will have
One of the other options
You need something?
is the PvP suit, which has several different colors. But right here, as you can see, this is the general aesthetic of what it will look like. Again, we'll change the boots to match. You're gonna have the big old spiked armor, skull face, skull armor thing going on.
See you later.
And one of the other suits, because I don't feel like actually going over there. If you'll give me just a moment. Is... where's the... It should be like Thesaurian or something. Give me just a second. Yep, there they are. Is this outfit, which, as I mentioned, is also an option. Now let's say there. All of these are obtainable with just gold, and we're of a high enough level to get them. So here's the other option. Yeah, which we can wear. So all three of these are an option for our normal suit when it comes to the overall aesthetic of our transmog. So keep this in mind if you want to donate for something other than the sexy suit or the ridiculous suit. As an aside, we've actually modified the ridiculous suit a little bit to look like this. This will be the new ridiculous suit. I've now made it even more unmatching. We have pieces from multiple expansions now to really make it look as terrible as possible, just for you guys. So keep that in mind. So you might ask, why haven't you changed the suits yet? Well, because we're not playing these characters until we're done with 1 through 60 on 4 characters. So it's not really a thing for a while. Nor will it be. So, King Bubble, now having been informed of that, would you like to change your donation destination? Right, Torren. Do love me some Mulgore music, by the way. Not as much as Durotar music, but it's up there. For the record, I do enjoy... Correct. Although we're going to get rid of the cents because I'm just going to round it up to 61, King. Because I don't like keeping track of cents. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do. I actually enjoy the Blizzard aesthetic. You know, the WoW aesthetic, the Warcraft aesthetic. Whatever you want to call it. It's just a preference thing. I mean, I know some people don't like it, and that's fine. I do wish some people would stop complaining about it non-stop, but this is Blizzard. I mean, everyone complains about everything when it comes to Blizzard. How have you done challenge modes? I don't have 4 other people to do challenge modes with. Or, to be slightly more accurate, I don't have 3 other people to do challenge modes with. So, no, I have not actually done challenge modes. We actually tried to do challenge modes all the way back in Pandaria, and we started making some progress, and then we stopped having the availability of all 5 of us being on at the same time. So that stopped being a thing. How long does it take me to get 60? If I'm just kind of casually doing it? Not very long. Like a month of the outside. The absolute outside. Okay, you want to put it towards sexy? Really? Okay. If you insist. I never should have made that a thing.
What brings you here?
Do you have the paws and talons, planeswalkers? You have done well. I will take these and bind their power to a totem of cleansing.
Go in peace.
Ding. I have crafted the totem to cleanse the Winterhoof Waterwell. Now you must take it to the well and perform a cleansing ritual. Okay. You got it.
We shall meet again.
Did Kieran already die? Yeah, a while ago, man. I killed him myself!
What brings you here?
No, that made me sad. Have you found the swoops? Do you have their quills? I know that gathering these quills was not an easy task. In doing this, you proved you're a shaman of merit. It's good to have you at Bloodhoof Village.
Go in peace.
I don't mind the sexy Worgen, it's the sexy Blood Elf that I mind. God, makes me feel horrible playing that character. Planeswalker, it's good to see you've taken the task seriously. Respect of the land and its creatures is important. Death and life are a circle, a necessity. One cannot exist without the other. Take time to ponder this. Well, I hate to interrupt, but actually, if we were all undead, there would be no need for death anymore. Because we'd all be, you know... Anyways, I'll just... Have you thought about joining the Scourge? Until recently, a group of dwarves intruded on our lands to the west, carving the earth apart senselessly to search for treasure. When the very earth itself tore apart, the spirits of the land they had abused rose up and took their revenge. The agitated earth spirits still roamed the former dig site. We must offer them appeasement. Take this drum with you to the west and play for their spirits. The rhythm may calm their fury and confusion.
Farewell.
You may have heard of the Venture Company. By the way, if there was 2 groups that were automatically, completely, diametrically opposed, it's the Venture Company and the Tauren people. These are like as far extreme from each other as it gets. Like total freaking opposite. Well, one of these cartels of the goblins they're a goblin cartel, like a tribe. One of these cartels has joined us in the Horde, but the Venture Company is loyal only to greed. These greedy goblins and their workers have tried to exploit their resources of Mulgore before, to little success. One of our outrunners, Morin Cloudstalker, has gone to check the remains of one of the caravans. If you wish to help him, follow the road out of the village to the east.
Ancestors watch over you.
Would you like to receive the blessings of the Lich King? Do it.
What brings you here?
Thank you for taking the time to speak with me, Planeswalker. I am Rule, warrior, and teacher. You have obviously reached an age when you must prepare for your trials if you are to adventure further out of Mulgore. If you wish a test of your strength, start by seeking out the Wind Fury Harpies to the southeast. They are one of our natural enemies in Mulgore. Will be a good gauge of your skill.
Be careful.
I know what you're thinking. Hang on. They have natural enemies in this area, and yet they haven't bothered to go wipe them out, even though they actually have the military capacity to do so. Why is that, Arsh? You remember what I said earlier about the one word that really defines the Taurens, the word respect? These people would never consider genociding an entire group or entire race for that kind of a reason, you know? It would never occur to them to wipe out all of the harpies, for example. Probably the Imperial symbol, King Bubble, because I like that symbol. Damn it. So they keep him here partially out of respect for their lives, partially because of the fact that they are a worthy opponent to cut their teeth on, so to speak. Ironic for herbivores. Also partially because of the fact that it would be very, very wasteful to wipe out an entire group of people like that. That's just kind of the thing that the Tauren in general wouldn't do. Now, I have a feeling, a weird, weird feeling, that the one Joker is actually referring to the Grim Totem. I have to assume that because I'm not actually sure what else he's talking about. Tauren are actually omnivores, I was kidding. Even though they have got big, flat teeth, which are a herbivore trait, they're actually omnivores, just like all of them are. And they make the Tauren stronger. Yeah, very Pandaren kind of a thing there. We were just talking about that, King Bubble. So who is the Lich King? I am the Lich King. Any questions? You should join me, by the way. Baal Madon. How did that work out? I'm trying to remember the exact way that worked out. Because I know there was some weird complications when it comes to Baal Madon. Like, the dwarves did something, and then the humans did something, and then the orcs did something, and then the Taurens did something, and it was just this back and forth thing. I don't remember, but I'm still... we'll see when we get there. It is possible the dwarves actually pissed off the Taurens so much, and that's very, very possible, thanks to Taraho, that we had what happened earlier happen. Remember how I mentioned a Tauren who truly enters an enraged state shows a fury far beyond what a normal person would show? The whole Vulcan thing I just mentioned about? Yeah. Several Tauren got really, really pissed off about Taraho. It actually varies, Jedi Mew. It's left deliberately vague so you can decide for yourself. In most cases, but for example, the Taurens are deliberately young, so are the orcs or the trolls. You know, we are recent adventurers, that kind of a thing. But in some cases, we're not actually young, we're just inexperienced. For example, they specifically call us a student, an apprentice, actually, as a blood elf, but they don't say anything else. You know, it's not like, oh, you are a apprentice, but you're also 3 years old, or something like that. So you can decide for yourselves. And of course, our Draenei is insert any variable amount of time here, because the Draenei are naturally immortal. So we could be several thousand years old on our Draenei if we felt like it. So it varies, is the answer. So let's talk about horror stories when it comes to questing in Mulgore. You notice how everything is dropping items on a 100% drop rate. Because this is Kata, when questing was actually good. I shouldn't say that. It's been good ever since then, basically. But, yeah, back in vanilla, questing in Mulgore actually really sucked. It was, in fact, so bad that several people, and I am included in this, when we would level our Taurens, we would get to the point where we got to Bloodhoof Village, and then we would immediately go to Durotar, or Tearsafal Glades, or anywhere else. Anywhere else. You notice how I'm getting all these talons immediately? This quest in particular is one of the quests I was hoping to wait on until I start talking about that, because I remember killing dozens and dozens and dozens of harpies. And the best part is the harpies only had like 3 spawn points in the whole zone. And there were only like maybe 12 of them up at a time. And they had like, I swear to God, a 10% drop rate. And possibly even less than that. It was terrible. And it took forever to quest in Mulgore back in vanilla. And the big reason why is because of the drop rates. There were several quests like that. There was a chain of quests where you were going around cleansing the totems in the wells in the area. And there was a whole story arc attached to that. A small story arc, but a story arc nonetheless. And it'd be like, okay, go kill these 2 types of creatures for their drops. And each time it's like, oh, okay. Okay, got those. Now kill these 2 other creatures for their drops. Oh, God, why? There's also the fact that Mulgore is a large zone. Now, this actually makes sense. It's a large fielded plain. And, you know, yeah, this zone, I think actually in terms of sheer physical size, I'm not sure about this, but this might be the single largest real estate starter zone of all the starter zones. I'm actually doing at a glance here. So you might think, well, Dune Morrogue is bigger, but it isn't, because so much of this isn't playable. This is the size of Dune Morrogue, not this. And it's kind of the same thing with Elwyn Forest over here. Elwyn Forest is actually only this right here. And Tearsfall Glades is only this. Why are you trying to defend the Alliance to me, Zoan? Why are you still doing this? Have I not made my point clear enough? The Alliance are evil. The Horde are evil. The end. Moving on. Okay, so... Now, Teldrassil is the other zone, but actually this zone's a lot smaller than it looks. It's basically just this path right here. See, I'm pretty sure this is the largest starter zone of all of them. And not counting the new ones. I suppose I don't know if Kazan is bigger, or not Kazan, excuse me. The Lost Isles is bigger. I don't know if Gilneas is bigger. I don't know if the Wandering Isle is bigger. Yes, I do, Ricky. It was awesome. Anyways.
Greetings, traveler.
And yeah, so this is the unfortunate thing about this plane. It's kind of empty. I really, really like this zone aesthetically speaking. I do. I love the way Mulgore looks. But the problem is, and you're already seeing it, even in Kata, the quests are very spread apart. It's like, okay, go way over here, then go way over here, then go way over here, then go way over here. And there's some quests right here. There's some quests up here. There's some quests over here, and there's some quests right here. And they're all spread all over the place, so there are large tracts of just unused terrain. So it's not very efficient real estate usage. And, yeah, I'm just kind of, I don't know. I love being here, questing here is not the best. Anyways.
I've been expecting you.
My grandfather told me stories of his battles with a strider named... Mazanrache? I don't know. He told me of its demonic red eyes, razor-sharp talons, and venomous bite. As fortune would have it, while traveling across the plains I encountered it, and it took a nasty bite from my shoulder. He was as terrible as my grandfather described. I've gathered all the parts for the remedy I need for the cure, except a flatland cougar femur. I grow weaker by the moment. Please help me.
Go in.
This is another example. This quest used to be go get these things for the cure, then come back. Then go get these things, then come back. Then go get these things, then come back. It was a little slow. And by the way, just to defend Warlords again, this right here is an addition that Warlords added. This is a very recent addition to the game. The heirloom tab in general, which I just like to go on record saying I love the heirloom tab, and the concept of the heirloom mount, aka the mount you can use even at level 1.
Looking for something special?
I have a bundle of hides from the animals of Mulgore, and must get them to Thunder Bluff. A colleague there, a Hanu, will use the hide to create leather goods. Will you take the hides to him for me? No, I will not, because I know how to use a flight path. Who's more evil? Neither. I'm being serious. As someone in chat earlier put it perfectly. Nicolas, apparently. Nicolas just said that. There's no good side in the Horde versus Alliance thing. There never has been. Like, ever, really. There's just good people on both sides. So which one is more evil? Neither. I couldn't possibly say one side is more evil than the other. And I know what you're thinking. Oh my god, but the Forsaken do such horrible things, and therefore all the Horde, by contrast, is much more evil. Westfall. You know what? I'm just going to stop there. There's my counter-argument. Westfall. What the Alliance does is less obviously evil, if I could be blunt. Most of the evil stuff that the Horde does is ha ha ha, chop, burn, destroy. Most of what the evil the Alliance does is closer to real-life evil. You know, you don't get killed by some guy who's like, ah ha ha, I'm evil in real life. You instead lose your job, or your insurance premiums go up. Or your insurance refuses to pay for that critical surgery you just needed to save your life. Or your pay gets docked. You know, subtle things, quiet things. That's the kind of stuff the evil does. Or the Alliance does. That's the kind of evil the Alliance does in general. And Westfall is a great example of that. It is also not the only example of that in the Alliance. Where's... Yes, that's what I want to do. Now, it is worth noting that I am not including Garrosh's Horde in the Horde. Because, A, no, and B, that wasn't the Horde. I'm sorry. That was no more Horde than the other 15 Hordes have been. I really wish we'd come up with a new name, if I'm being honest. Garrosh's Horde is over there. And they can go screw themselves. We wiped them out for a reason. You know? I would say, yes, that's fairly accurate, Jedi Mew.
Well met.
The Wind Furies are a deadly foe. Their strength in battle is only rivaled by their desire for fresh meat. You've done well. You seem prepared to travel onward. Let the wind always be at your back.
Farewell.
See you around, Schoolmeister. Alright, so now to talk about the Twilight's Hammer. Yeah, we really need to stop calling it the Horde. I think that's one of the biggest problems. I mean, for God's sakes, the Horde are... I do remember you, actually, Rufus. Wow. The Horde... Let's look at the organizations that have included the term the Horde. The Demonic Horde... Now, most of these are words that we've added after the fact. Every single one of these organizations, with one exception, has just been referred to as the Horde. So... The Horde, aka the Demonic Horde of fel-infused orcs and murdering and butchering. The Horde, aka the Dark Horde, which was run by Nefarian and was pretty horrible and consisted of a large number of groups, you know, etc., etc. The Horde, which was also known as Garrosh's Horde, or sometimes called the True Horde. And, well, the last one wasn't actually called the Horde, it was called the Iron Horde, which somehow, despite having no demonic influence, no old god influence, no external influence of any kind, really, managed to somehow actually be as, if not more evil than all of the previous examples. All four of these organizations have been called the Horde. Then there's the Horde. Family. The group of people who are bonded by blood, who care about each other, who will always have each other's back, who will do anything we can to take care of each other, and to do the best we can for the... Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I also forgot the Fel Horde, which I don't even have to explain, also known as the Horde. But again, the Fel Horde from BC, so excuse me. So then there's the Horde, aka the Family Horde, the one I have a loyalty to. Can we call this something else? Can we come up with a new name for ourselves? I think at this point in time, there's a little bit of a bias here against the term the Horde. And of course, yeah, half of these organizations have called themselves the True Horde. The Targ Horde called itself the True Horde. Garrosh's Horde called itself the True Horde. The Fel Horde called itself the Horde. Anyways. Twilight's Hammer. Yes, we need a rebranding. The Blood Horde. Oh, that's going to be terrible. People will be like, oh my god, they're all part of those Blood Elf bastards. Except they are, so I guess that makes sense. People would totally misunderstand it, though. They'd be like, oh my god, Theramore is running the Blood Horde. Okay. Twilight's Hammer. Once upon a time, there was a clan of orcs called the Twilight's Hammer. There's your answer! No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. That's not what I will ever use that term to refer to as. The Twilight's Hammer clan has stopped existing ever since Warcraft 2. They have not actually been a thing, in forever. Instead, what we've had is the Twilight's Hammer. Now, the Twilight's Hammer, as I refer to it, as a cult of any race. They don't care about what race you are. They don't care what species you are. They don't care where you came from. They don't care your age. They don't care your speciality. All they care about is that you are trying to further their paths. The Twilight's Hammer are simultaneously one of the most infiltrative groups in all of Azeroth, and also one of its most blunt instruments. They actually have members of the Twilight's Hammer in every organization at every level. Not that I wish to spoil too much, but let's just say that the head of the entire religion of the humans, of the light, their archbishop, is a member of the Twilight's Hammer. Just to give you an idea of what I mean by how much of the societies of the world are infiltrated by the Twilight's Hammer. So most of them have normal, everyday lives all over the place. The next thing you have to understand is what the Twilight's Hammer wants. They want to kill everything and everyone, including themselves. I'm not really kidding. The Twilight's Hammer's goal is to service the old gods. The old gods, as we've discussed, don't really have many motives beyond die, die, die. And they have actively tried to literally wipe out all life on Azeroth more than once. They did that back in Wrath. They did that in Ulduar, if you'll recall. And then there's, of course, the fact that they will continue to be doing that in the future, ignoring the obvious big plans of burning the world, literally, or sweeping the world away, literally, or cracking the world in two. On top of all those plans, the Twilight's Hammer was also trying to push the agenda of, once again, activating another Titan reorigination device. So that's what the Twilight's Hammer's goal is. Now you might be like, that's crazy. Bingo. Here's how the Twilight's Hammer works. Have any of you ever been disenfranchised with your lives? Have any of you ever been like, man, this life sucks. I wish I had a life where I could actually do something. Or I had some significance. Or it was just something I could deal with. I mean, I don't want an easy life, but I want a life with problems I can actually fix. As opposed to a life where all I'm doing is constantly being shuffled around by this terrible, horrible society. And the governments and the taxes, the agencies are all just making everything terrible. And there's this organization. Now, it's funny because there used to be another organization that was a lot more prevalent called the Cult of the Damned, which basically offered the same thing except technically a better deal. The Twilight's Hammer, though, here's the thing. They actually have a really good PR team. I know that sounds weird, but they do. Most ordinary people, most people in general, don't know the truth about the Twilight's Hammer clan. They just know, here's an organization, they're offering you something better. Also, the Twilight's Hammer, thanks to their infiltration, is extremely well-funded. They might be the most financially prosperous organization on the planet up until the end of Kata, when they effectively cease functioning as a cohesive unit. We do actually finally defeat the Twilight's Hammer by the end of Kata, by the way, so yay for that. So they will offer you a good job, they'll offer you decent money, they'll offer you a life that actually means a damn. All you have to do is go serve for them. Now, they actually start you off kind of easy. We sort of see this in the future. And over time, you take on more and more responsibilities or you die. And simply being in contact with them, and being in contact with more and more of their people, their magic, their organization, puts you in contact with the old gods. And so your mind gets twisted, bit by bit, or quickly, depending on how strong your will is. Keep in mind, most of these are fairly ordinary people who are being twisted around by the old gods. So your average person isn't really going to have what you'd call a lot of resistance to old god influence. So most normal people, they got twisted into the more crazy elements of the Twilight's Hammer very quickly. So most people are victims, actually, when they start going to the Twilight's Hammer. And then they very, very quickly become the victimizers as they go crazy, just like their overseers did. Now, there's another group of people who join the Twilight's Hammer, and that's, I don't even know what that is. And that is anybody with any connection to any form of magic that has to do with the old gods. Elemental magic and void magic are the two biggest ones. Void magic, of course, directly tied to the old gods. Elemental magic because most of the old gods tend to work through the elements or use the elements, and the elements in some cases willingly serve the old gods. So, yeah. So, for example, if you are a Really? Hang on a second. If you're a shaman, for example, and you're a shaman who is communing with the elements, it is exceptionally easy for, while you're communing with the elements, to be corrupted, basically, by the old god influence or by whatever that element wants. Similarly, as you might imagine, any given organization who... What the hell? Any given organization who the most shamans do what the elemental spirits want. They basically they think of themselves as subservient to the elements, right? So when the elements want you to kill all life on the planet, so a fairly large number of shamans deliberately and willingly joined the Twilight's Hammer because the elements wanted them to. I want you to burn the world. Okay. There's not much else to it there. So I hope that answers your question, Raz. Wow. Raz, shoot, I can't remember how to pronounce your name. Roof as well. Roof as well. That was it. God, I'm terrible. Right. I need to go kill lemurs. And by lemurs, I mean femurs.
How may I aid you?
Well met. If Amo has already explained the minor quibbles of what kind of goblins will be driving from our lands, well, let's get to work.
Ancestors watch over you.
A few days ago, we found a venture company caravan traveling under guard under the northern shore of Stone Bull Lake. We'd lost 2 of our number in earlier battles who were quick to attack and lay waste to the caravan. We left their supply crates, thinking our torches would destroy anything of value. But given the Venture Co. salvagers have been spotted near the wagons, maybe we were wrong. Perhaps you could go to the caravan and examine the contents of the crate.
Be careful.
Actually, it's probably more accurate to say that the old gods are Cancer, based on what we understand. Oh, hello. Yeah, I wasn't even getting into the other possibilities of how you could end up working for the Twilight's Hammer. For example, being deceived by the elements, being deceived by people who are pretending to be the elements. Of course I'm going to do that quest, Jedi. I mean, I just want to wait until we get there. I want to do a few other things first. And of course, I wouldn't even talk about the people who interact with the Void. For example, you might wonder why exactly, you know, the Archbishop of all of the Light ends up working for the old gods. Well... He looked into the eyes of the dragon and despaired. Wow, that's a hell of a jump. Zunk. Stop smiling. There we go. God, Tauren selfies look terrible. I wonder what gnome selfies are going to look like when we get to there. See you around, Jay. All sides of the crate are stamped with the sign of the Venture Co. Mining Division. Notes printed carefully on the side of the carton indicate that the contents are due for processing at one of their central plants. Prying open the lid reveals a tightly packed assortment of ores and minerals. More evidence of the Venture Co.'s mining operations in Mulgore. On top of the ore and minerals, you remove a tightly bound sheaf of papers up to the foothills to the east. You can barely hear the sounds of work and see smoke rising from a larger fire. You always got to jump when you're in a motorcycle. It's mandatory. Yeah, it is Fenrir. Although I found Northrend rather pretty myself, but I get what you mean.
Greetings.
Hail, Planeswalker. Have you learned anything new about the Venture Company's plans? It does indeed appear the Venture Company is attempting to rob us of our natural resources. Again. It is good to know this is true, and now it seems we must do something about it.
Goodbye.
Oh well.
Hail.
This explains the buildup of Venture Company employers and equipment we see. Those goblins, their company is expanding too quickly for their own good. It's how they say, show a goblin something and you can hear the scales in the background. Greedy little things they are. Unfortunately for their business enterprise, we Tauren cannot allow them to conduct their operations in our land. Go to their mine. Send them a message.
Go in peace.
According to the documents you salvaged from the caravan, the Venture Co. created many plans to attempt to drive us from our land here so they could free reign to plunder our lands. The depths that they would sink to accomplish their goals disgusts and appalls me. I want the mastermind behind their plans killed. His name is Supervisor Fizz Sprocket. You'll find him in the back. Bring me his clipboard
careful.
if there's anything useful on it. That's a good question, Takoida. I would say yes, based purely on the fact that there are so few Tauren servants of, eldritch horrible powers. There are a few, just not too many. Pretty much everyone's a one joker. Everyone will buy from them, of course. Venture Company either openly sells to other goblins who then sell to the Alliance and the Horde, or they sell directly to many organizations who are totally cool with them. Twilight's Hammer. Oh, excuse me. Oh no, Taurens are not humans. No. Nobody is humans. Nobody are humans. Not even humans are actually humans, so... One of Deathwing's lieutenants was a Tauren, and there was a Tauren in BRD. And those are actually the only two I could come up with, so... I'm not saying there aren't others, but relative to other races, Taurens tend to be infrequent. Hello, chatter. Okay, so first of all, thank you, Mir, and welcome to my stream. I'm glad you've been enjoying. Second of all, in answer to your question, unfortunately, no, because Twitch hates me. There will be the old Lorerun stuff will be going up to YouTube eventually, as soon as the other stuff is finished going live. So, starting March 22nd or 3rd, I forget when exactly. This is March now, isn't it? Those first few videos will start going live onto YouTube. Yes, I know, chatter. I'm well aware. Now, the only question is it just a proper remake of Master Ryan 2? I shouldn't say just, that sounds so derogatory. Because that's actually exactly what I want. Is it a proper remake of Master Ryan 2? How similar are WoW humans to real humans? I mean, other than the fact that they're pure evil... There is a Tauren in Deadmines, but he's not what I would call a minion of the old gods. Because, yeah. I mean, ignoring the fact that WoW humans are, cursed descendants of giants. I don't even know what else to add to that. I can't imagine that they are that dissimilar from us, since that's the design. In other words, if like Azeroth was a real place and there was, actual, forces in work, I'm sure the humans there would actually be very, very fundamentally different from us. But it's not. It's a fictional setting where they were designed to be humans, so they are probably very similar to us overall, by design. Remember, magic can be taught. So, under a purely hypothetical scenario, if a human from real life was able to go to Azeroth, they would actually probably also... there's no probably. They would also be capable of learning magic. Just like anyone can. So... Also, I'm hoping you're enjoying, or will enjoy, I should say, Babylon 5 when you get there, Chatter.
Peace, friend.
I don't think there could be too much misinterpreting or ignoring of that signal. The venture company will know not to take the Tauren lightly or to be so arrogant as to believe we would allow them to steal the natural resources around us without protest. By the way, this is another nice, interesting way of explaining the Tauren mindset here. The venture company move in and they say, okay, go kill a few of them so they know they shouldn't be allowed to stay here, because we have to defend our land. They don't say, go wipe them out. They don't say, curse those things. They don't say, everything that is our enemy must die and suffer. They just say, send them a message. Make sure they go away. You know, fairly simple, really. And again, very Tauren, very self-contained.
Ancestors watch over you.
I seethe with anger at the thought of the atrocities the venture company is willing to perpetuate against us. All in the name of profit. My anger is somewhat lessened at the news that the villain, Fizzsprocket, is dead. I will go through his personal effects and see if there are any additional information about the venture company has planned for the future. Thank you for your efforts.
Farewell.
Also, no comment, Ricky. Yeah, exactly, Takoida. Damn it, Lulu! You want my whole show to be Babylon 5 Ruminations. Admit it. Which one was the dolphin? I don't remember off the top of my head the name of the episode. God, I am so tired.
What brings you here?
My fever grows worse, and I find my mind drifting into delirious nightmares. Ah, that one. I remember that one. I should have known that I wouldn't be able to handle a beast my grandfather was unable to beat. Do you have the ingredients for the remedy? I fear if I do not clean the infection soon, it will be the death of me. Thank you. No, I have not, Brogue. I had no interest in it to begin with. Using the items you brought me, I was able to create the remedy I need to stop the spread of the infection and eventually cure it completely. I owe you my life in thanks. But I'll never forget that screeching call when Mazenrach came upon me, the blaze of color as its beaks descended. Be wary in your travels.
Walk with the earth, Mother.
Super ding! Why don't we get a ding this way? So is it sad that I keep thinking, man, these selfies would be so much better if I wasn't in them? That thought just keeps occurring to me. Oh yeah, best motorcycle ever. It's steam powered. All I gotta say to that, Takoida, is you know those giant totems they use as weapons? Which, for God's sakes, give us the totems as a playable, usable weapon, for at least just as a transmog, for God's sakes. But you know those totems they got, right? All I'm saying is totem cannon. Seriously. Basically, instead of being made of the lumber, it being made of like a giant chunk of iron, but still having the runes carved onto it, and the signs of respect and the symbols and the paintings pointed on it in very Tauren style, and it being this giant shoulder-mounted cannon. And yes, Tauren are omnivores. All playable races are omnivores. That's something we know for a certainty. I don't remember. There's like something I had to do to get the selfie toy, but I don't remember what it is. Hang on. No? I don't remember. I actually don't remember. Sorry. That's what the runes are there for, One Joker. They prevent the, they literally magically absorb the kickback. You could actually use magic to make a freaking cannon, that you could be, manually holster. This is also a nice little quest, by the way. Once upon a time, there were dwarves up here we had to go and stop from digging into the land. This was an interesting quest. So this is how this boils down, okay? No offense to the dwarven people as a whole. Really, I frickin' love dwarves. But the dwarves need to learn about asking permission. They came in here back in vanilla. By the way, one thing we'll be doing a lot in Cataclysm is discussing how this worked in vanilla. Because a lot of the Cataclysm quests build off of vanilla. So all these dwarves were actually here back in vanilla. And they were all digging like, we've got to find all the stuff, laddie. We got to dig up all the earth. And they didn't ask permission or try to work with the Taurens or basically anything. They were just like, "Hey, we're gonna dig there and there's nothing you can do about it." So the Taurens responded with a measured and calculated form of force. You went up, you killed a number of them, and got rid of their leader. And I think there was like another quest to get rid of their food supplies or something like that. In other words, try to make them go away without killing them, other than the first few that you killed. So, I find that just hilariously tragic because there's like zero reason for the Taurens and the dwarves to actually be enemies. Seriously, zero reason. Because the dwarves and the Taurens actually share a commonality in their respect for the past. So all the dwarves would have had to say is, "Hey, Tauren buddies, we'd really like to find out about the history of your people and what came from this area. Do you mind if we go and start investigating the area?" And the Taurens would say, "We would be okay with that, as long as we send some people with you to take care of the land after you're done excavating, to calm the spirits in the area." And the Taurens would say, Excellent! Can't wait to learn all more sorts of new stuff." And the Tauren would say, "Is there any chance you could share some of that information with us, too? We would also like to learn more about our past." And the Dwarf says, "Absolutely!" And BAM! Friends! But no. I'll be the first to admit that a lot of the conflicts between the Taurens and Alliance races are very, very artificial. They're generated for the sake of keeping the Taurens not Alliance. You know what I mean? I've said it before and I've said it again. The original intention was for a lot of more of the races to be unified than are currently. And so they kind of had to actually be like, okay, we need to, we need to come up with some artificial reason. Yeah, this is terrible RNG. We need to come up with some artificial reason to make sure that the Tauren, who should be friends with like everyone really, with very, very few exceptions, are friends, or enemies, excuse me. It's ridiculous. Because, again, so the Taurens and the Dwarves have a huge amount of cultural similarity, which is funny because the Orcs and the Dwarves also have a lot of cultural similarities. I've said for years that if, like, we could just, like, re-divvy things up, there would be like, the Dwarves would be like, "Oh, let's go have fun," and the Orcs would be like, "Yes, this will be wonderful, Loktar," and then just BAM, so they're together. This is my in-depth analysis here on the lore of Warcraft. BAM! And then they're together, and then their alliance is forever. And then the Taurens are like, "Wait, but we also have a great respect for all these things." And the Orcs and the Dwarves are like, "Fantastic! BAM!" And then they're together. And then the humans and the Gnomons are like, "Man, we have been so awesome with the Dwarves forever." And so the Dwarves are like, "Man, these guys are great!" And then BAM! They're together forever. I mean, seriously. Seriously. The amount of reasons for the races to be friendly with each other, some of the races to be friendly with each other, actually outweigh the reasons for them to be antagonistic towards each other. Yeah, humans and elves are basically the odd ones out, but even in that case, the Night Elves and the Taurens have been friends for millennia. Look, Tauren, booze! BAM! They're together! just BAM! Oh my god, seriously! And yes, I know, Jedemu, they needed the excuse. Ugh. And it really, let's just call it what it is. It is an excuse. It is a flat-out excuse. Because otherwise, BAM! They'd be together. God damn it. I mean, could you imagine? Now I know what you're going to say. Well, that would take the war out of Warcraft. To which I say, have you not been paying attention for the last 6 expansions? We have had lots of things to go war against, other than each other. We have plenty of war left. If you really want more war, that's great. We have tons of it. We don't need to add the little sprinkling of PvP on top of the war against the others. But one of the things I've heard so many times, and I've actually heard a developer say this, and it actually pissed me off when I first heard it. I was violently angry about this, and I went ranting to a friend about it, because I'm an idiot and I care about my video games and my lore. This one developer's like, well, Warcraft has always been about orcs versus humans. So, in his opinion, it's a good thing that WoW is getting back to that roots, and everything about WoW should really be focusing around orcs versus humans. Oh my god. And that's not an isolated perspective. Quite a few people actually think that orcs versus humans should be all of Warcraft. And I disagree. Now I know what you're thinking. Arsh, you would just get rid of PvP. No, I freaking wouldn't. That's stupid. Why would I get rid of something that so many people enjoy? That's ridiculous. No. You know what I would do? Make PvP be over there. Do you know how easy it is to separate PvP from lore? Oh, I know what you're saying. Well, now, Arsh, now you're just wanting the PvPers to not have any lore. What about PvPers who care about lore? First of all, I'm not saying PvPers don't care about lore.
Go in peace.
Even though most PvPers I know personally do not care about lore. But, so, okay. Why not actually have lore reasons for that to happen? And we've talked about this a dozen times. Everyone already knows the answers to this. It's not hard to go renegade, to go rogue, to have rogue factions of orcs and rogue factions of humans who go fight against each other in battlegrounds and arenas and all that garbage. And that's ignoring the competition-like stuff. There are plenty of ways in lore to have story arcs and lore justification and reasons for there to be PvP without having an entire massive alliance of people versus an entire another massive alliance of people who are like... Instead it should be like, BAM! They're together. I'm going to keep saying that until it comes to pass.
What brings you here?
Yeah, no kidding, King Bubble. What about the elves? Well, the Blood Elves were already 2 steps from joining the Alliance twice in lore. So, don't think that's really a big issue there. The Night Elves, okay, admittedly the Night Elves have a bit of an issue. However, one thing we've noticed about the Night Elves is once you get in good with the Night Elves, you stay in good with the Night Elves. So, all we need to do is have some of the people who are already good with the Night Elves, Tauren, excuse me, to be like, okay, look. Just look. And then you kind of have that be the band-aid to getting the Night Elves to get along with the other races. The goblins, try to keep in mind most of the goblins that are working for the Horde, specifically the playable goblins, the shoot, I suddenly can't think of the cartel. The Bilgewaters. The Bilgewater cartel are way more understandable and tolerable than all the other goblins. There's certainly still going to be some antagonism there. I'm not going to try and deny that. But it's not like we're asking the Venture Company to join the Alliance and Horde. The Horde Alliance or the Elia Horde or whatever. We're asking the Bilgewaters to join it, who are way better, more tolerant and understandable for the most part, and generally only did really horrible stuff under the command of Garrosh personally. What was the other one you brought up? Trolls? Oh, trolls are easy. I don't even have to explain that one. Anybody could tell you that you know, that there's lots of different troll groups. That's not a big thing, you know. I was going to say, the Night Elves don't even like humans, dwarves, or gnomes. They're still part of the Alliance. We can make it work, is what I'm saying. We can make it work. Come on, the Burning Legion's invading. Can we finally get rid of the dichotomy? Can we finally do that? The Burning Legion itself has come. Alright, I'm done. I'm done. The Conglomerate. I like that. I like that. We'll get rid of the Horde thing. We'll call ourselves the Conglomerate. And then there'll be people who are like, we are the... Yeah, I saw that too, Dakota. So the people who could still call themselves the Horde are the rogues, the renegades, the PvPers who are off, you know, and we will fight for our right to conquer and destroy. We will never give up our lands to puny human dogs. You know, all that garbage. Leave them over there. So the Horde keeps going as like this other separate organization that's the PvPers. And then we'll have like, we need a name for like the Alliance PvPers too. Or we could just call it the Alliance. And then we could have the Conglomerate being both of them. Moving on, moving on. The land is still in great upheaval if it took this much effort to calm. Remember this, Planeswalker. Do not forget seeing the fate of those who would scar the Earth Mother.
Goodbye.
That is correct, Ricky. Originally, the Night Elves were actually part of the Horde. Way, way back in the conceptual eras of WoW. And I mean, like, way back. Oh, yeah. Admiral Planeswalker. And then, because the writers, the story writers are like, it makes too much sense for them to be part of it. In fact, actually, humans were originally part of the Horde, too. This is again before it even hit Alpha. This is when they were still designing it. Originally, you could play human as Alliance or Horde. There was the Theramore humans and the Stormwind humans, and these were the two groups of humans. And so basically, it really was like East versus West thing. Almost all the races here were on... Actually, I'm sorry. All the races on Kalimdor were all part of the Horde. And the only exception were the Forsaken over here. And then all of these races were part of the Alliance. And they were like, well, hang on, that doesn't seem balanced, and PvP came into the thing, and there were some arguments back and forth, and it ended up what it is now. And later on, they wrote in some stuff to try and make it make more sense in lore. So, I want you to listen.
Help me find my dog.
So if you'll notice, that doesn't sound like a normal voice actor. That's actually him. He actually voice acted this.
Greetings, traveler.
Help, I can't do his voice. Help, Planeswalker. My prized puppy Kyle has run away. I just know he's running around Bloodhoof Village, lost and hungry. Will you find him and feed him? Once he eats, he will settle down and come home. To feed him, you have to find his food. His favorite meal is tender strider meat. Just venture east, you should be able to find plenty of striders. Hunt one down.
Where is that dog?
And take its succulent meat tonight, Kyle. When you see Kyle in town, put the meat down and he's sure to come to you.
May the eternal sun shine upon thee.
God, that voice makes me cringe hearing that. I feel so bad for that poor boy. This is probably one of the only quests in the entire game that was 100% unchanged when Kata came out. Do you not know this story? Hang on, let me look up his full real name. Ezra Chatterton was his name. Ezra Chatterton was a gentleman who toured the Blizzard offices as part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Tiggle actually was one of the ones who really pushed for that. He actually is one of the only NPCs in the entire game who is actually he's part of a unique uncategorization as far as factions, which means anyone can interact with him, Horde or Alliance. In fact, several Alliance players would, no matter who would do it. He's dead. The child's dead. He died in 2008. He had brain cancer. He actually ended up working with Tiggle to create Ahab Wheathoof. And they made this whole quest just for him, and he actually did the voice. The reason his voice sounds so odd is because it was very difficult for Ezra to actually speak at this point in history when he was recording it. They also gave him the actual first Ashes of Alar ever put in the entire game. Ever. It was the first one. Nobody had ever gotten it before. And they actually made a new thing just for him, a new item, which is the Merciless Gladiator's Crossbow of the Phoenix, which is the one you got at that particular thing. He died on October 20th of August 2000, excuse me, he died on October 20th of 2008. Also, they actually renamed one of the elders in Thunderbluff, the Elder holiday after him. Sorry, I don't know why I'm choking up here. So, yeah, I do this quest on every time I come through Mulgore. And I can't find the dog. No, I actually saw it earlier. There he is. Unfortunately, this is also not the last person of this variety. The story of this variety we'll be sharing when we go through this Lorerun. God, he's fast. Hey. And then, of course, the dog dances. Because, of course, it does. I prefer the new model. I prefer the new model for all the races, personally.
Will you help me find my dog?
So,
The winds guide you.
anyways. Time to advance the plot. Yeah, we're going to be showing off the grave and the barons when we get there. I don't remember where the heck I'm going. So I haven't actually talked about the Grim Totem yet. I've been saving that because, I mean, it's going to be relevant in a few seconds here. The Grim Totem are... evil. There we go. That's a good way to put it. The Grim Totem are evil. Any questions? Now, the funny thing is, you're probably like, "Arsh, dude, you're exaggerating." Well, here's the problem. For so many of the races where we have some aspect of some understanding, or we get to see, you know, their side of the thing, you know, the other side of the story kind of a thing, we never actually see the other side of the Grim Totem. Not really. The closest we get is working with them as the Alliance, for some reason, in Stone Talon. All I gotta say is, I don't know about you, but I imagine the Alliance would look at the Grim Totem and be like, "Whoa, no, no. No, we don't want anything to do with you. We're the Alliance, not the Scourge." I mean, come on. The Grim Totems have a little bit of a... I really don't have any better word here. They're evil. They have an evil perspective on things. They don't try to seek balance. They don't really respect their enemies. They just do. They take what they want. Actually, I'm a little surprised that there weren't a lot of Grim Totem... Well, okay, that's not a lie. Okay, hang on. Rewind. So, Originally, the Grim Totem were supposed to be part of Garrosh's horde, and for whatever reason they decided that clashed, so they actually wrote in a reason why Garrosh himself hated the Grim Totem, to ensure that they would never actually be a part of his new horde. So, because otherwise the Grim Totem mindset actually completely fits Garrosh's horde, and I mean that sincerely. We take what we want and screw the rest, is pretty much what it boils down to. They don't really... I mean, there's lots of shamans amongst them, but they're closer to the binding shamans, or in some cases, dark shamans. They're the kind of shamans who are like, no, 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 no. We take what we want and we despoil it in order to make things happen for our sake. We have no problem doing anything that we have to do in order to accomplish our goals, because all we care about is ourselves. They are a very, very, very selfish group of people. And Agatha herself is the worst. As I kind of tried to summarize earlier, the best way I could ever possibly summarize Agatha Grimtotem is one of the first things we ever find... Magatha, excuse me, not Agatha. Magatha Grimtotem. One of the first things we ever find out about her is she married into power and then murdered... Excuse me. Arranged the death of her husband so that she could take control. She really, really wanted to be the chieftain of all of the Tauren. She felt she was the one who should be in charge. She reminds me a lot of Tarkin from Star Wars. She wanted more and more and more power constantly. She wanted to be at the top of the heap. Period. For reasons that I hope they actually follow through on at some point in the future, Magatha was actually one of the strongest proponents of the Forsaken joining the Horde back before World of Warcraft actually started. So, yeah. There's also one other thing. Yeah, she reminds me a lot of Rendon Howe. So there's one other thing, there's one last reason why I absolutely despise this woman. Now's a good time to talk about Cairn. If the Horde was united, the Horde. They weren't united, so the Alliance. The Alliance was best poised to win the war against Garrosh's forces. Especially since Garrosh was basically fighting a civil war at the same time. So yeah, no, the Alliance was better poised to win that conflict. Unless you got a hold of the Elder Scroll, of course. So Cairn was awesome. He's probably the best Tauren ever. It's kind of hard to explain why. He hits a unique balance of likable and surly at the same time. Fairly intelligent, rather reasonable, very respectful of others, very strong, of course. And he had no problem. He was a good leader, and he had no problems actually leading from the front lines. He was a pretty awesome guy, and I would argue he would have made the perfect war chief for the conglomerate, or whatever we want to call the new horde. Obviously, that didn't happen because Cairn's frickin' dead. Now, rewind just a second. So the reason Cairn is dead is because I forget the exact details, forgive me, but Magatha actually got basically was trying to infiltrate her way into Garrosh's inner circle, and so she tried to encourage him. He's like really huge. She tried to encourage Garrosh to do some old orcish ritual that Garrosh didn't actually know the full reasonings or understandings of, because Garrosh wasn't really smart. Oh, the nicest? Well, again, there's Garrosh's horde, and then there's the horde. Let's really keep those distinct, so you're going to have to help me out here a little bit. Oh, Magni would have been an awesome king for the Alliance. A high king for the Alliance. He had problems as a father, but man, he was a good leader. Anyways, poor Magni. Anyways, So she manipulated Garrosh, basically, and offered him this great blessing. What she did was she put some really, really, really virulent, horrible poison that, if I'm not mistaken, was actually hinted at being a Forsaken poison, an apothecary poison, in other words, coated or put it onto Garrosh's blades. Now, the funny thing is, you might ask, what does this have to do with Cairn? Why was Garrosh fighting Cairn? Garrosh was a terrible war leader, and a terrible leader, and a terrible person. I think we've already kind of explained that many, many times. Hang on, I gotta find the exact moment, because there was a specific thing. Give me a moment here. I actually don't remember the specific incident that triggered this. Well, there's an explanation for that, Dakota. We'll get to that. I kind of agree with you. But, yeah, here we go. Okay, so... Basically, okay, so I know that there was a build-up. Cairn was getting more and more pissed off at Garrosh. And I mean just more and more and more pissed off. Here it is, right here. I knew there was a specific thing that, that was the final straw for Cairn. Now, this was actually the Twilight's hammer, not Garrosh. How's that for funny? But it was believed that Garrosh had sanctioned the killing of druids, specifically druids of the Cenarian Circle, which is ridiculously stupid and political suicide, as I've mentioned several times. However, that actually was not Garrosh's command, that was the Twilight's hammer, because the Twilight hammer was doing constant manipulations on both sides to push the two sides into war and to weaken them. Cairn is just like, no. I issue Mulgore, which is challenging Garrosh for leadership of the Horde. Garrosh, who is Garrosh, decides, okay, I'll accept, but we have to fight to the death. And Cairn says, you got it! So they start going at it. Now again, so Garrosh's weapon is poisoned, right? I really want to emphasize this because Cairn was winning so well that Garrosh hadn't even touched him. Had not actually hit Cairn at all. So just try to picture this. Cairn is just beating the snot out of Garrosh. Just bam, 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 bam. And Garrosh can't even hit him. But unfortunately, it wasn't a completely one-sided fight. Obviously, Garrosh did finally land a blow on Cairn. And there was that poison in it. Cairn died almost immediately. He fell over on the spot. And that was the end of that. And then Cairn died. Now, the funny thing is, Magatha later on admitted to Garrosh what she did. Because she assumed Garrosh... Well, yes, Garrosh landed the one blow, like I said. So she admitted to Garrosh what she did, thinking that she had just secured her position as leader of the Tauren people. Thinking that she had just gotten herself in good with the war chief. Well... Garrosh may be an unremittent bastard, but the one thing that Garrosh cares about more than anything else is his misbegotten fake honor. And so he was like, whoa, you just took my kill away from me. You bastard. So no, what actually ended up happening is she and her... word was released, basically. Garrosh allowed word to be released of what Magatha had done. So all of a sudden, all the Tauren people knew that she had poisoned and murdered their beloved chieftain, Cairn, who was well-liked by everyone. You could probably have guessed what happened next. As I mentioned before, the Taurens really get angry when they actually let themselves go. I'll talk about the fake honor thing later. They really, when Taurens get angry, they unleash completely. So there was actually I'd call it a civil war, but it's more like a civil rout. The Taurens rather forcibly ejected the entire Grim Totem tribe and Magatha the hell out of Thunder Bluff, kicked them out of all Tauren lands, and banished them forever. Now, Magatha herself actually ended up in the Thousand Needles, and she has a quest arc when we get there, and we have no idea. No, I apologize to One Joker. That's why I unbanned you. I'm really sorry about that. That just really hit me. I've lost young people in my life like that, and it really hurt, and I'm sorry. Anyways, so they kicked her, and they kicked the crew the hell out of Dodge. They were like, no, get the crap hell out. And, so that's Magatha, and that's how Cairn died. Now, what Takoida is pointing out is really, really obvious. Why did Cairn stay dead? Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, come on, Arsh, they can't bring everyone back from the dead. That's true, and I would argue strongly that you shouldn't bring people back from the dead unless it's well done, or unless it informs the story in some way, unless it's really important or powerful or does something to the story, right? Well, this is Cairn. First of all, him taking the mantle of War Chief back from Garrosh would have a beautiful symmetry to it, if you think about it. Cairn becoming the War Chief is also a wonderful bookend to the way he was first introduced to us all the way back in Warcraft 3. Finally, he's the literal origination of the spell Reincarnation. The first character in lore to ever have that spell, ever, was Cairn. 3 big reasons right here. In lore, in theme, ways that are good to the story, to have Cairn come back and take the mantle from Garrosh. Come on! It was sitting right there! You could have done it! Vol'jin? Why did you pick Vol'jin? I mean, I like Vol'jin, but he's not a war chief. He's not my war chief. At this point, I don't even have a war chief. God damn it. Anyways. So that's what happened with Cairn. Oh, so, right. Let me explain what did actually happen to Cairn. As I've mentioned before, the Tauren people in general tend to be very at peace with death. I actually made a whole speech about that earlier, if you remember. And Alliance are killing all the NPCs. I should turn in the quest before they kill my NPCs. Give me a second.
Peace.
The Grim Totem. I'd hoped to see the end of my days before Tauren attacked other Tauren senselessly on the very plains of Mulgore. But be proud! You have done a good thing for the land and for the people. There's more work to be done. We must create a new totem to cleanse the wealth. You must gather the claws of the predators of the plain. So once again, we have to go get more stuff to cleanse more things. Try to remember again. Oh, excuse me. These didn't used to be 100% drop rate. You know what? I actually agree with you on that, Raskor. Especially since Lorthamar is basically a new character, and they did some good stuff with him. But why not have Bane take the mantle then? Vol'jin is an old guard character. He's from Warcraft 3. Now, I know what you're saying. Bane was also in Warcraft 3. As someone for us to be rescued as a child, yes. But Bane would have been another great way to have a new character like Cairn take the mantle. I still think Lorthamar should have been the war chief. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. Point being, what the hell happened with Cairn? Well, Taurens are at peace with death. Cairn became a new ancestral spirit. He became actually the ancestral spirit of Mulgore. He is actually the primary individual the primary ancestral spirit who watches over the entirety of the Mulgore plains. And, yeah. He is probably empowering the Taurens more dead than he could have been alive. I shouldn't say probably. He is. Absolutely. In lore, let me check my timeline notes. Let's see here. It has been 6 years since Vanilla started. No, to my knowledge, Bane's story hasn't moved. Well, okay, Bane was kind of a character in War Crimes, I want to say. Or whatever book it was where they had the trial of Garrosh. But that's it. That's the only development he's had since then. Unfortunately. Anyways, so that's what happened to Cairn. He accepted his status as an ancestral spirit, which is kind of funny because Magni and Cairn mirror each other surprisingly well. Yes, oh my god, we have an in-lore explanation for why the drop rates went from crap to 100%. Because Cairn has given us the drop rate increase. Oh, I love it. Yeah, War Crimes is not a good book. I was actually asked about my opinion on it basically right after it came out. My opinion boiled down to, it had a tiny bit of character development for Sylvanas, and that's it. Like, you know, nothing else. You know what I mean? By the way, I really am trying not to spoil Legion stuff, but let's just say that from what I understand, Cairn having a presence in Legion is a very high possibility. I really hope it happens, because it would fit perfectly. Not as coming back. Not coming back alive. Just, you know, kind of Obi-Waning the situation. And it would be awesome. How do I think the WoW movie is going to turn out? It'll probably be meh. It'll probably be an average movie. In lore, that is the explanation, Nicolas. It's just a little eyebrow raising. You know, I agree with that third. War Crimes is a great sleeping aid. Bloodhoof Village is under attack. Would you go away, Alliance? I hope my NPC is alive when I get there.
What do you need?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk to my chauffeur there. Anywhere I can take you, sir. Yes, yes. Sorry. You know what? I would say yes. I would not be surprised if Cairn was a strong enough individual to become an ancestral spirit of that level of strength. Not just for Mulgore, but like for Kalimdor. You know what I mean? For the Horde or for whatever. And I think that would be... Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. I could summarize War Crimes for you really quickly, okay? Garrosh is an evil bastard. I know, we were discussing about how, you know, evil is a... But no, trust me, Garrosh is an evil bastard. He actually has a quote about how he wishes he had committed more atrocities than he did. That's not a joke. It's not an exaggeration. It's not me putting words into his mouth. Kairos is an idiot. And Sylvanas had one chance at being good, or being redeemed, I should say, except it was kind of a catch-22 situation, and now she's worse than ever. There you go. There's War Crimes. Also, I lost a lot of respect for the Celestial Ancients. You're probably like, what do you mean? Why would I have lost respect for the Celestial Ancients? They declared Garrosh innocent. It's actually worse than that, but I don't want to go too much into details.
The winds guide you.
Planeswalker. Do you have the claws I sent for you earlier? The Thunderhorn waterwell grows more tainted with each passing hour. Ah, thank you, Planeswalker. The purity with which these beasts hunt is vital in creation of the next cleansing totem. The Thunderhorn well is a symbol of my own tribe, and to know it is being desecrated by our own kind raises a fury in me I haven't felt for years. Yay, honored. Yeah, no kidding, Nicholas. The Grim Totem are a tribe that believed all of Kalimdor should belong to the Tauren alone. Their hate, their anger, led to a corrupting thirst for power. Magatha, their leader, poisoned our High Chieftain, Cairn Bloodhoof, and attempted to take Thunderbluff for herself. She was curb-stomped, and the Grim Totem were exiled. Now, so he says they were... I gotta make this clear. They were crushed like a bug. They were lucky to have survived. Now they seek to ruin Mulgore itself as they are driven out. Oh, by the way, this is another excellent way to try and explain exactly how messed up the Grim Totem are. They were kicked out of Thunderbluff. On their way out, they decided to try and poison the wells of water that they gather water from. They were literally trying, well, figuratively trying, to salt the earth as they left. For absolutely no reason other than spite. I mean, seriously. No, I have not R&D. Or rather, I guess that's a lie. I have thought about it, but I'm never going to lore run vanilla quests. Besides, I actually technically am lore running vanilla quests. I'm just doing it in Kata. This is our land of death. I like how the thing they go for straight is the sources of water too. That's just that's just such their style. I don't even know what else to say about that. And they would have gotten away with it too if not for those darn stinking kids or whatever. Ow. Oh, God. Yes, Mulgore is quite a green plain. The Grim Totem would not like that to be a thing, though. I'm kind of serious. The Grim Totem were one of the few races, I believe this is in the comics, who were actually okay with the idea of over-mining. I mean, I don't mean literally mining. I mean, like, just overdoing it in general. You know, to be completely honest, Dakota, I don't remember.
Greetings, traveler.
Dang. I cannot thank you enough for cleansing my tribes well, Planeswalker, and for fighting the savage Grim Totem to do it. But there is more to be done, and it's time for your journey to lead you beyond Bloodhoof Village. Zariman Two-Moon stands by the fire to the north end of the village. Go speak with him.
Walk with the earth, mother.
Who do I think should be the leader of the Alliance? See, I'm torn because my automatic answer is Anduin, but the hard reality is Anduin is not a good war leader. He's a great diplomatic leader. He should be the guy in charge of keeping things together behind the lines, you know, taking care of actually running the country, while someone else is in charge of running the war effort. So let's think about this for a moment. We've got Tyrande. Nope, she's out. Just automatically. Nope. Magni. Right. Because Magni would be my first actual pick. Like, Magni, yeah. Greymane. Greymane could be a good war leader, but he's a little bit... I wouldn't trust him as a war leader, I think is the best way to put that. So, do you not remember what that quest was like, Ricky? Darius Crowley. Mechatork. He's actually pretty awesome, but I can't say Mechatork is a good leader in any given direction. I hate to say that. He's a great inventor, and he's very charismatic, but a great leader? Who else have we got? We've got Valen, who is... Valen had to be broken out of his internal stupor by a child. Well, by a teenager, Anduin. I don't think Valen makes a really good leader. He's not the kind of person who actually should be in charge. And I agree. I actually agree. Anduin would be a weak king. The only way for Anduin to be a strong king is to stop being a good diplomat. And I don't want that to happen, you know? So, Anduin needs to continue being a good king. I haven't gotten to him yet, Zuan. Anduin needs to continue being a good diplomat. I think the Alliance needs a good diplomat. But they need a strong king instead. So, that only leaves 3 people, if you've been paying attention. And those 3 are the 3 dwarven leaders, the council of the 3 hammers. I believe Falstad is the Wildhammer leader. And he is a fairly good leader for the Wildhammers. He absolutely should not be in charge of the Alliance, I'm sorry. He has way too much bias and he is way too narrow-minded. So that leaves Moira and Mirrodin. Moira is unnecessary, because Anduin is already the kind of leader she would be, except he's not selfish and, you know, a bad guy. He's not interested in his own self-aggrandizement at the expense of others. He is not trying to seize power. Anduin is trying to help make things better and help take care of his country. So Anduin is already the diplomat, the peaceful leader. We don't need Moira. So literally, the only remaining option is Mirrodin. Obviously, we're discounting Varian, because otherwise, duh. So, Mirrodin as a wartime leader, and Anduin as the backline diplomat. I think that works out. What do you guys think? Have Mirrodin be the high general, high commander, whatever, the wartime high king of the Alliance, while Anduin becomes the person trying to deal with everything else behind the lines, so to speak. I'm not sure I'd like that, Athero. I mean, you're right, but I'm not sure I'd like that. It's so rare to come by someone who is just so earnestly a decent person. The last person who was so earnestly decent in this setting finally got burned one too many times, and she's now... Some people artificially say that she's a horrible, terrible person, when she's actually not. But, yeah. You'll notice I automatically discounted Jaina, by the way. Doesn't help that she's already effectively a queen in every way that matters. She is queen of the kingdom of Dalaran. Let's make that claim. Dalaran is a kingdom. It has the full political and military power of a kingdom. There's no way... Let's just make that clear. Dalaran is not just a city. She is effectively a queen right now. Ugh. So anyways.
Hail.
And yeah, that would probably... Moira... Well, see, here's the catch. The reason I was kind of hesitant on that when I was talking about Mirrodin and Moira, if Mirrodin took up the mantle of running as the High General or whatever, who's going to actually be left behind the scenes to take care of the Dwarven people? You already know the answer to that. What are you going to do about that, you know? I sensed you'd be coming to me, Shaman. I can always recognize one who's trying to pass the rights of the Earth, Mother.
Go in peace.
You're right, Arabani. Humans versus orcs. Yeah! I'm sorry. I don't agree with that mindset. Again, be sure you are ready to leave Bloodhill Village behind. A next step of your journey will take you far from here. The path continues to lead onward across the fields of Mulgore. The eyes of the Earth Mother are on you at all times. When you are ready, consume the waters near the tribal fire. Once you have ingested the holy waters, your eyes will be open and the spirits will guide you.
Winds be at your back.
Braun! Zoan, you know just as well as I do, Braun would not take the mantle. Even if they actually gave him the mantle, if they somehow convinced Bran to be leader, he would say, okay, I'm in charge now. And then about a day later, well, I'm out. Peace! And Bronn would go off and do his thing and leave behind his chief advisor, Moira, to run Ironforge. I think that might actually be worse than just putting Moira in charge directly. Nah, there's no reason to, Psychotic. I'm not even going to take a spec. On all of these 1 to 10 characters, I'm not going to take a spec. See you, Norlix. I'm very confused now. Narlux said goodbye and then sat there and stared at me in the face. It's very awkward. What do I do? What do I do? Hey, Tuttle. Glad you enjoyed. Doing my best. And there were no Alliance or Horde there, damn it! No, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. No, this is not our, we're gonna be okay, so what the general plan is tutorial zone on each of the races that we're not leveling first. Then, tutorial zone on the races we are leveling. And then we'll go ahead and actually vote for spec and all that on those. By the way, for those curious, obviously we're doing Kalimdor first. So we're going to go ahead and have our Night Elf I forget what class she is. Priest, I want to say. And our Pandaren, who will be a monk, will be our two characters who will be going through Kalimdor on. Hang on. I actually don't remember what class our priestess or our night elf is. Give me a second, I'll go check. Might be mage. I don't remember. Anduin and Bane? Oh, dude. Sold. Those two actually already get along pretty well. Did you know that? Bane and Anduin are actually friends in lore. That's already a thing. Okay, oh, Druid! My bad. So apparently our Night Elf is going to be a Druid. So these are our two characters we're going to be going through Kalimdor on. And these are the two characters we're going to be going through the Eastern Kingdoms on. So, I'm sorry, Zawan, but unfortunately we're going to be doing all the Alliance Eastern Kingdom stuff on a Dwarf! Yes! But that does mean we're not going to get to him for a bit, so I'm sorry. I have no idea, Zawan. I have no idea how long the Kalimdor is going to take. Be not afraid, Planeswalker. You have successfully passed the Rite of Vision.
Go in peace.
There's but one water well left to cleanse, named after the Wildmane clan. For this well to be pure, the land must offer the teeth of a fierce predator, the prairie wolf Alpha. Find the Alphas to the north, and remember, back at Vanilla, their drop rate was terrible. I know I've emphasized that a few times, but you guys have no idea how bad it was. You really don't, unless you were there. It was so bad.
The winds guide you.
Planeswalker, my brother soon stands before Chief Bloodhoof, and it is my honor to make his headdress for him. I want to ask a favor of you while I finish tanning these leather straps. There's not much time for me to find enough feathers, and I was wondering, could you gather more for me? You can find feathers of the correct size off of the harpies. Okay.
Go in peace.
Okay, bye, Brooke. Bye.
Greetings.
I would murder you so hard, Psychotic. And I wouldn't be the only one. You are eager to explore, I can tell. I too had the lust to wander once. Wander and hunt, for hunting is a Tauren's greatest honor. If you truly wish to follow the ways of the hunter, show me your skill and resolve. Bring me the claws of the Flatland Prowlers.
Be careful.
And anyone wonders why Hemet Nessingwari always gets along well with Taurens?
How?
To gain acceptance amongst the elders of Thunderbluff, you must complete the Rite of Wisdom. Now that you have passed the Rite of Vision, the ancestral spirits of Red Rocks will give you the blessing of our ancestors. Only those of drunk who from the waters of Seers can gain this blessing. Travel east to Thunderbluff, to Red Rocks, and find out what happened to Cairn. Only the most valiant Tauren are laid to rest at Red Rocks, our sacred burial ground. It is an honor bestowed upon the great warriors who helped found and defend Thunder Bluff, and those who have given their lives for the greater good of their tribes and chieftains. But it appears a foul menace has made its way into our holy land. A band of bristleback interlopers is ravaging the gravesite, and I am far too old and past my prime to drive them away. They must be driven off with force. Also, that is awesome. Oh, come on, Zoan. You cannot be serious. I mean, seriously, you'd allow an orc to be in charge? I know. He's actually less orc than he is Alliance races, but still. Hey, G-Juice. Alright, now I gotta kill 50 of these. Oh, damn it, not 100% drop rate. I hate these quests. Well, there's been a lot of whispers that Vol'jin, in lore, will recognize that he's not a good leader, as so many people have said, and give the mantle over to Saurfang. It's also possible Saurfang may just take over as the orc racial leader. Because technically, Thrall actually had double duty. Back when he was the war chief, it was one of the several reasons why he was not actually doing a good job of leading. He was the leader of Orgrimmar and the Orcs, and the leader of the Horde. Hello, Tattoo Masters. Or Master, no plural there. I gotta be honest, My two picks for War Chief back in Pandaria when we had no War Chief were Lorthamar and Cairn. And obviously Cairn didn't happen. He's gone. It's over. That ship has sailed. So you can probably guess my pick for War Chief now. Oh yeah, by the way, that's another thing worthy of note. So, Erebony just mentioned how the Taurens aren't interested in leading the Horde. It is worth noting that one of the reasons in the book why Cairn took so long to challenge Garrosh is because he didn't want to. He knew, however, that the only way to challenge Garrosh would be to basically take over, to become the new War Chief. And Cairn really did not want to become War Chief. He actively disliked the idea, and he actively was trying to avoid it. He only accepted it in that last atrocity, which is why I bothered to look up exactly what the atrocity was. It's like, okay, fine, enough. Enough is enough. You're a bad leader. I want you to go away, so I will accept the burden of something I don't want to make you stop ruining our people. Damn it. Go away. Go away. Not you guys. You guys can stay. Well, unfortunately, the drop rate is not 100%. It is still way better. It's just not as good as it should be. That does tend to be true, Aether. That's true in real life, too. It's generally accepted that the best type of leaders are the people who do not want to lead. VV for War Chief. Okay, why don't we stop going to war with the Alliance, guys, and we need to research ways to extend lifelines of artificial constructs for no reason. I'm not sure I can agree with you on that, Lilu, because I know what it's like when it's less than 100%. And it's horrifying, and terrible, and nightmarish. I still, to this day, the wounds, they cut me so deep. Some people have asked me why I don't consider Broxigar the best warrior of all time. There's actually two big reasons for that. Probably the first and most important reason is Richard Knack, or Knock, or how the hell you pronounce his damn name. If you don't know who that is, that's the guy who wrote that story. He's a terrible writer. I'm sorry. He is if you enjoy his writing, that's great. In fact, that's awesome. But he is not a good writer. So, it's hard for me to take just about anything of his seriously. And, yeah. The end. So, yes, okay, the greatest orc ever the one who was, well, the only orc who was ever able to do this, you know, that's great. That's very impressive and moving, but it's from him. Well, considering he effectively was a good leader, Nikolaos, I suppose that makes sense. The Goblin leader is Gallywix, also known as not seen, sir not appearing in this game. Damn it, Bregwin. No, I am not. I am a terrible writer. Oh god, Noggenfogger. Anyways, no, it's not like I'm saying Broxigar was a bad warrior. God, no, the man was amazing. But I am not. I just personally don't think he is the best warrior of all of the history of Warcraft, just because of that one significant event. That's just my take on it. And that's my second reason for saying that. I don't think that the one incredibly awesome thing he did qualifies him as best warrior of all time. You may or may not be surprised how many people blast me for that opinion, by the way. Just absolutely blast me for it. The day Gallywix exists. Alright, we're shutting down the WoW servers, and here's Gallywix! Huh? Ahem. So, okay, we have the totem. Your cleansing of the Winterhoof and Thunderhome wells is spoken well of the spirits. Young Planeswalker. The Wildmane totem is made, and your last task lies ahead. The Wildmane waterwell lies north of Thunderbluff. Perform this ritual. Let the clean waters flow again.
Be careful.
Peace, friend.
Thank you for your help. My part in my brother's ceremony is almost complete. Giving him this headdress and witnessing the ceremony are all my duty requires of me.
We shall meet
Ding,
again.
apparently. It's a good view. We'll get a view of Thunderbluff here, shall we? Bronxigar was an orc who, thanks to some time travel, ended up in the War of the Ancients along with a human, who we will never talk about again, and ended up being a significant role, well, they ended up being a significant role in the War of the Ancients, and the Dragon Soul, and a whole bunch of other stuff that was happening back then. Bronxigar was a hell of a badass orc. He was also an orc who was really, really talented at, I would call him more of a destroyer than a warrior. Now, I know what you're thinking, but he was a warrior. I don't mean the class. There's two classifications of personal power, warrior and destroyer. A destroyer is, I will sweep the mountains away, or take out armies. A warrior is, I will take out one single individual very, very well and very expertly, right? This is something that applies to game mechanics as well, but that's not what I'm talking about. In my opinion, Bronxigar was way better of a destroyer than he was a warrior. He was really good at taking on an army of demons. But we never really get to see something that he actually got to do as far as a really, really good demonstration of his one-on-one fighting prowess. He did manage to hit Sargeras and then get impaled by Sargeras' sword. That is not insignificant. But yeah, what he did against the Legion's army, that's what I'm talking about.
How may I aid?
Yeah, he was basically a full-on berserker, yes. Fury spec, if you will.
Goodbye.
One other tiny thing I just want to mention really quick. The Taurens are the main reason we have Kodos for the Horde as like a racial thing, and have since Warcraft 3. The only thing I want to mention about that, culturally speaking, is the Taurens treat their pack animals as if they really are important to them. They take care of them, they watch after them, they'll spend resources and time and effort on them. You know, they care, basically. And they want to have very, very well taken care of pack animals. And I just find that interesting, since most races in general, and this is true in real life in some cases too, will look at a pack animal and think, well, I could just replace it, or I can just take care of it, and won't really take care of it properly. I don't have a really better way to explain that. Bronxigar's like, as he's impaled on the sword, he pulls up his selfie camera like, totally worth it. I am not one of those Gnarlocks. I would actually be kind of upset if they just randomly gave me this druidic axe that is in the past. And also in a timeline that is... you know what, let's not even get into that. That is true, Nicholas. That is true. So I suppose we should get into that. The other thing I don't like about Knock's writing style is he tends to be one of those writers who, like, you know what? I like alternate dimensions because it means I can write whatever I want to and not have to care about continuity. So some of the stuff that happened in the War of the Ancients actually happened because, you know, history was changed. And some of it didn't happen because alternate dimensions. Because keeping things contiguous is hard, man. I swear to God, though, if Ronan and his crew are actually in Warcraft Chronicles, I'm probably going to cry a little bit inside. Because that's codified at that point. We'll find out. About 2 more weeks. Also, Brewfest Coda for life. I actually have that. Anyways. Yeah, I would have been a little bit okay with that, Rasko, but no, he was just treating it like his own personal playground. Oh, also, this is actually Cairn right here. The big one. You have shown great diligence in your learnings to pass the rites of the Earth Mother. We, the ancestral spirits, represent the mighty Tauren who gave their lives bravely to found and protect the great city of Thunder Bluff. Again, this city was actually founded very recently, after Warcraft 3, actually. I hereby pass the duty of that protection to you. Well, okay. I will do what I can. Hang on. Probably a very small bit of Duratar. Hang on. I want to pay my respects to Cairn here. Rest in peace, Cairn. You would have made the best war chief ever. And, yeah, it kind of sucks that you're dead. That's my point, Zoan Joker. They altered time, but technically they didn't. And it was actually in an alternate timeline, and just... I mean, when you've got this many timelines going alongside each other, it's just, ugh. They have recently started pushing the idea of a primary timeline. And I say recently, it's actually been a few years now. So the idea that even though there's tons and tons and tons of infinite timelines and infinite dimensions, there's one timeline that matters, aka the one we're playing through. I still think they shouldn't have opened that can of worms to begin with, but what the hell do I know? That was a great touch, Raskar. Damn it, go away. I suppose I'll turn this in really quick.
Well met.
Well done. You have sent those foul bristlebacks a clear message. They'll think twice before they try to meddle in our spot again.
Winds be at your back.
Do you think Varian should die? As a writer, yes, but I don't want him to. Varian has finally become an awesome person. It's taken him pretty much since his inception to go from being a hot-headed idiot to actually being a decent person, a decent leader, and a decent king. And the problem is, as a writer, that's the perfect time to have him die. Have everything go swimmingly, and then screw up. That's a very, very common writing trope. In fact, that's exactly what happened at the Wrathgate. Was, alright, everything's working together, and finally we're making this work, and nope, screw you, Forth and Forsaken. Veramothras. So, yeah, unfortunately, Varian, as a writer, should die. It would be a nice cap to his arc. Now, I actually do have a genuine answer for you, Rory, if you want to hear it. But the summary is time. We already have too little content for the gaps in content in WoW. Coming up with that kind of graphics is doable, but would take even more time and would have even more gaps in new content coming out. So, I'll take my stylized graphics.
Well met.
You've done it. You've cleansed the wells and healed our land. Bloodhoof Village is grateful, Planeswalker. May the wind whisper your deeds for 100 seasons, and may the waters of Mulgore remain forever clear. The wells are cleansed, and Mulgore's... But he's already done that, Atheru. He's already got that stamp on his bingo card. And Mulgore's waters run sweet and clear once more. You've saved us, but you've also uncovered grim happenings. The actions of the Grim Totem must be made known. It's time for you to enter Thunder Bluff. Go to our leader, Bane Bloodhoof. He must hear of this.
May the eternal sun shine upon
Because, as you yourself would point out, just as I would agree with you, Anduin is not a warrior. And yeah, paladins start off as priests, but seriously, he is not a warrior. He is not a martial combatant. He doesn't get up into the fight like a paladin does. He doesn't want to be a paladin. He probably has the skill to be one, but he doesn't want to be one. If Varian's in the film, he would be a child, based on the timeline. Like, pretty young. From what I've seen, Ricky, it will be a pretty good expansion. I am very much looking forward to Legion. They're doing a lot of things right, and they've been working on it for a long time. As much as Warlords was kind of a... the fact is, it did its job well. It was a sufficient content filler for them to have more time to work on Legion. Yeah, that's the other thing. As much as I really, really, really don't want this to happen, because Anduin is one of my favorite characters in the entire setting, Anduin dying in Legion would also make a lot of sense as a writer. So, I mean... yeah... Hey, Bane. So, I can't help but notice you don't have a real weapon there, Bane. Unlike your father! Spit, spit. No, I kid. Actually, Bane's alright. I just feel like pointing this out because everyone's going to bring it up if I don't. Yes, it's a giant smoke pipe. Moving on. I want to talk about these really quick. You might wonder what the hell these are. This is a whole ancestral thing for the Tauren. They've got history written into the room. You can't see this, obviously, but they've got history written into that. They've got some... I use a PS3 controller mouse. By the way, grats again on the new time. Really impressed by that. I would love to see you run if you happen to record it. So, history, important names, magical wardings, that kind of a thing. This is basically the equivalent of a magical library that the High Chieftain of the Taurens at any given point in time carries around on their back. If you remember, Cairn himself had that on his back as well. It's same one, actually. So, you know, that's what that is. Let's talk about those Titan ruins. Where's the nearest one? Remind me of where the nearest one is, the one, Joker. Because I remember I was looking at this, but this was like a couple of years ago. Unless these are they. Which I think they are, actually. So, okay. Hang on, let's go turn on the quest really quick. Before Thunder Bluff's under attack! Damn it, quick! Gotta turn in before they kill Bane.
Honor the Earth Mother, always. This is the way.
Some
of
see...
the Tauren.
That's great. Some see our people as gentle giants or noble savages. They have never seen us fight against our own kind, against betrayers from within. The Grim Totem were offered mercy in exile, and they have scarred their own home to spite us. They will no longer be tolerated in Mulgore. I've already sent our warriors ahead to drive them out to through Stone Dallin Pass. So, you have fought bravely. I ask that you join the battle. Go to lead into this final blow. Well, I hope you're not starting a slasher fic, Bregman, because that's actually kind of important. I mean, you know. Hang on just a second. Oh, let's see here. Okay, so there's something I haven't talked about at all with regards to the Taurens, which I really should. The Tauren people are probably the other big faction that really uses runic magic, rune magery, as I've described when we were going through Northrend, that the Iron Dwarves are using. Dwarves as well use runic magic, and there are a couple of other factions that use runic magic, but it's actually kind of uncommon, relatively speaking, compared to the other more direct forms of magic. For those of you who did not catch that discussion, oh yeah, still got it. Sorry. I used to do that, and then a friend of mine would, or friends of mine trying to do it would also jump and then die, and it was really funny. It's okay, I'd res them. Whoa, I shouldn't do that, though. Oh, no, I'm fine. Words. So yeah, the dwarves like to use runic magic. The reason, okay, so again, for those of you who did not hear it before or are new to WoW or whatever, runic magic is stronger, but I put that in quote-unquotes because it's situationally stronger. Under the right circumstances, runic magic is very, very powerful. You can use runes to compel, to control, to affect, to attack, to defend, you know, all that kind of stuff. Now, one of the most fundamental sources of the Rune Master idea actually comes from Tauren specifically. And the Taurens actually carve those runes and write those runes everywhere. In fact, I actually already mentioned that. Remember those giant totems or whatever they're called? Oh wow, I just dinged again. That they use in order to fight back in Warcraft 3. Those are runed. There's magical runes on those totems to make them more than just giant logs of doom. And so that's why I was saying, you know, the idea of a rune cannon. So the runes enable it to absorb the knockback and whatnot is something that the Taurens could actually do if they decided to work in that direction. But yeah, runic magic. So runes in general take much longer to craft, and either have a continuous effect which has to be recharged over time, or are a one-use thing. So it's understandable by most races don't actually bother with runic magic, because it's always going to be more of an established long-term thing than actual functional in direct combat. You know, if a rune mage who has nothing prepared is fighting a regular mage who also has nothing prepared, the regular mage is probably going to win that battle because he could just fling fireballs. However, if the runic mage goes into that battle with runic gear prepared and ready to go, the runic mage will probably win the battle because he has all these powerful runes he could call on to defend and buff and destroy and all that fun stuff that he prepared over the previous few days or however much time and effort it took him to do so. Now, the interesting thing here is runic magic is pretty much, especially based on some things I've been reading in the Warcraft Chronicles things, Titan magic specifically. Given what I mentioned earlier, about the whole runic magic Titan connection and the possibility of the Earth Mother actually being the nascent Titan, it actually kind of lines up as well when you consider the fact that Taurens have such extensive usage of runic magic, especially when it comes to their buildings and their function. For example, you might wonder how the hell that giant totem there actually stays up, or how they have functional elevators, or how they keep these bridges intact, or how they can withstand the elements, etc., etc. Now, the funny thing is, based on what I've read, this is an assumption, but based on what I've read, the Tauren aren't aware that they're using an advanced form of Titan magic in these runes. They think these are just the blessings that have been taught to them and taught down for generations. It's just runes that they use with the blessing of the Earth Mother kind of a thing. They believe it's natural magic. Now, it is possible to have runic natural magic, or at least I think it is. I'm not actually sure about that, but I assume it is possible. But it's pretty clear based on the actual fact that they actually have Titan runes that they are using to empower themselves. They're actually specifically using Titan magic, which is arcane magic, which I find hilariously fascinating. I would love it if someone was like, so by the way, you guys are totally like using tons of arcane magic. What? No, we're not. But the other thing about runic magic, which the one Joker just pointed out, is runes are specifically, or at least I should say can, be empowered by ley lines. In other words, a regular mage might be stronger around a ley line if they know how to, but that also takes time and effort and doesn't always work. A runic magic, however, will pretty much also always work stronger when around a ley line, when empowered by a ley line. In fact, there's a list of ley lines that are known in Warcraft, but it has been theorized for a long time that there's a ley line right there under Mulgore, under the Thunder Bluffs, that they have been using to empower this land and keep it safe. I have a slightly related theory. I would love it. This is a wild theory. There's not a lot. There's nothing benefiting this. But I would absolutely love it if this whole basin here was actually another Titan laboratory. And if we were to dig down like a few hundred feet, we would find Titan machinery, just like in Storm Peaks, or in Shalazar, or in Unguro. Again, I have no real evidence for that. I just think it would fit rather beautifully and nicely, and help tie the Taurens into the Titans in a way that doesn't actually change their history or their culture. So in response to Rory, like I said, or like Bregwin just said, Khadgar probably knows. In fact, there's probably a few mages who know. But I imagine most of them either don't share that information, or if they do, they're not sharing it from a source of strength, if you know what I mean. You know, Jaina showing up and saying, "Whoa, my God, there's Titan magic." They'd be like, "Oh my God, really?" If some random human, well, not human, if some random Forsaken mage or some random, Orc Warlock or whatever comes by and says, "Oh my God, Titan magic," they're just gonna be like, "What?" Yeah, whatever, go away. It's not a source of repute. And yeah, it does kind of look like several of those zones. Very life-filled, very green and prosperous, and of course, a massive, massive basin, just like the other two, are. The only difference is the fact that there's not a lot of trees around here. Not a lot of the jungle thing going on. Anyways, runes are actually, Dark Delver. So to explain a rune, runes are kind of like codes. Yes, that's actually a good way to explain that. So I want a rune of, to use the example I used earlier, fortification. So I want to fortify this giant log that I'm using as a weapon, so that when I hit people with this tree trunk, it doesn't shatter and it does more damage. So I'm going to inscribe a rune that, in a specific pattern, specifically means fortification, right? In fact, I can kind of prove what I mean by that by going to here. This is Imperator Morgok. I can't wait to talk about him when we get there. Thank you, Random Heroes. Because he actually uses Titan runes. And we find out that those runes are actually one of the major sources of Titan power. Gorian power. That they actually have found Titan runes, and they keep them very much under tight control, so that only the elders, only the kings and the lords of the Gorian Empire can use those runes. But those runes are damn strong. And if you'll notice, one of them is literally called the Rune of Fortification. Now, this is a little bit different than what we're talking about, but I just wanted to mention that as an aside. So let's say you wanted a rune of magical protection is actually another interesting one. Forgive me, this is actually using the Gorian Empire as another example. But Imperator Morgok, actually, he walks around in a robe, but he is so magically shielded because every time he gets up in the morning, he starts just carving all of these magical runes all over himself and his clothes. So he is basically walking around in a giant plate of magical armor that most people can't even see. But it looks like he's just wearing robes. He can, at will, remove all of that protection and draw on all of that power in order to accomplish something that requires that power of a moment. In game terms, imagine a rune as if something that you could use like a mana crystal. I know that doesn't... Are mana crystals even in the game anymore? I don't even remember. But, so it's like, what? I really need a ton of mana to accomplish this one fact, right? This one spell right now. So that's another thing runic magic can be used as a battery source, basically. Only if you know what you're doing, though. I think that's actually all I have to share about runic magic for the moment. Someone asked what a ley line is. In the briefest way I could put it, a ley line is a connecting source of magical energy. So, if you can imagine a web going around the planet, every time these lines intersect, these are actually the ley lines, but what we usually refer to when we say a ley line is actually an intersection point. AKA, yeah, that's what I thought, Randy. AKA, so if these two ley lines intersect at this point, that's what we actually refer to usually as a ley line, this one spot that actually has a tremendous amount of magical power running under it. Karazhan, for example, is pretty much sitting on a ley line. And I think that's the best way I can explain that in a nutshell. That might just be a gameplay thing, Bregwin, but yes. Actually, I'm not sure, because we actually see Mulgore in Frozen Throne, not in Warcraft 3. And not in Reign of Chaos. That's a good way to put it, Dark Delver. I think that's a good way. Yeah, let's go with that. Did I miss an Ingza one? Because I've been really distracted this morning. I need to eat. I'm going to pause for lunch pretty much as soon as I finish killing this Tauren scum. Yeah, we pointed that out when we were in Dragon. Whoa, hey. Oh, hey, Bane, what's up?
Have I, Grim Totem.
Ha! Bane, you've shown yourself. Get him! Really? You will die in shame like your pathetic father.
Cowards, poison, and the fury of Hellscream to bring my father down. What chance have you?
So Bane does have the ability to be awesome. On occasion.
It is for you.
Kind of wish they'd voice acted the other guy there, but whatever. We're done here. Mulgore will no longer suffer the hatred of the Grim Totem. I will meet you again in Thunderbluff. Hello, Salty. How are you? I should have hearthed when I was up there. I wonder. I'm seeing if I can find a picture of Mulgore in Warcraft 3. Oh, there it is. Actually found it. Well, that is kind of barren, but again, that might be a gameplay, you know, a variance of art, basically. Because it was using the standard Kalimdor tile set, aka the Barrens map. Here, if anybody's curious. That's what it looked like back in Warcraft 3. That's the mission where you went to rescue Bane in Frozen Throne, specifically. Well, Salty, if you want to die, that's your decision. You know, I'm not here to interrupt or to make other things happen. If you want, I could, I'm just, you know, just if you're curious, there's this thing called the Scourge I could talk to you about. I mean, we're always looking for new members, and, that's actually a good question, Dark Delver. In most fantasy, most other just veins of raw magic. I believe that's true in Warcraft as well, but I'm not 100% certain about that.
Never despair, friend.
Welcome
The eyes
back.
of the Earth Mother are upon us.
What was done was not for revenge or pride. It was simply done to protect Thunderbluff and all our people from torment and fear. Today, Mulgore is safe once more. The Earth Mother thanks you for all your brave deeds, Planeswalker, as do I. You have earned your reward, hero. May you be always welcome in Thunderbluff.
Ishne, alo, hor-ah.
Now go talk to Garrosh and or Vol'jin, but we're not going to do that because we're done. Actually, I would say, yeah, Ziwan. I would actually put a very high chance of likelihood on that, personally. Anyone can join the Scourge. A D and what's a DNR? You know, actually, Ziwan, I would love to see the Tauren in a similar fashion, not exactly the same, but in a similar fashion to the Orcs! Not the Orcs, the Orcs. In other words, they don't actually realize they're using Titan magic, but it works because they think it does, and that's how Titan magic works, so... You don't like that idea? Okay. Anyways, that is it. Oh, do not resuscitate. So would the Scourge respect that? Quick, changing topic. Oh my god, look, it's a troll. But I'm gonna go get lunch before I do that. We'll be right back with a partial run of Durotar, and then a full run of Durotar. So, back in a bit, guys.